Hey guys, welcome to episode 215 of 4PlayerAnimecast. It is the 4th of February, finally getting out of the cold for most people, although I've been hit by like snowfall every other freaking day outside of my window here. But we are here in the middle of the winter 2023 season, just coming along. I think most series right now are around episodes 5 and 6. So we'll have two more episodes after this, head straight into the preview, and then I think we'll be able to properly roll up with the spring season that's coming up. But yeah, and 10:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the East Coast of the United States. I am your host, Spire, and here with me are my compatriots, Nier,
Hello.
Toast,
What?
and Dark.
Hello.
All right, well, let's get cracking. 2 weeks, please. Briefly. Dark.
What did I do in my 2 weeks? I've been what have I been doing? I've been playing a lot of MMOs, Do. I've not been playing FF14 though, because I kind of don't really have a whole lot to do in that right now.
hmm
But yeah, I've been playing WoW, got ahead of the curve, so I'm kind of like done with my progress for that now because I don't do Mythic usually. So I think my guild might dabble, so that's exciting.
Okay.
I've been playing some ESO because that's like, why not? It's like Skyrim but online. Beat Dead Space, playing through Hi-Fi Rush still. Dead Space remake is awesome. Hi-Fi Rush is probably a contender for Game of the Year as well. And yeah, that's games. Anime-wise, I've just been kind of keeping up with everything. Haven't
Okay.
really started anything new, I don't think.
How's your pre-cure? I think you said it was right. Pre-cure run through.
So I've been dabbling. I've been going back to the most recent one. Now, apparently a new one just started. I have not done that yet. I might just start that one because it's episode fucking 1. But I've been getting through some more of like the recent one, which
Okay.
I always forget its fucking name. But yeah, I have not pulled the trigger on just buying what's it called, Precure on Amazon because I just like haven't done that yet. But
I
apparently
think
it's like
the most
the
recent
one
one
place to
is
get it.
the. I think the most recent one is either the one that started last year is Delicious Party Pre-cure. I think the
Yeah,
17th season
that one.
apparently. Oh yeah,
Yeah, that
or
one,
17th
which
generation.
also starts with a extremely gay man as the first like quote unquote magical girl type person,
As
which
you
is
do.
pretty interesting.
Pretty
But
good.
yeah,
We were all magical
so that's
girls
been
inside.
fun. As
Yeah.
Onimai said, the Sunday block is for men of culture. Um,
Hey man,
and yeah, so I've been
better
keeping
that
up.
than Magic Girl Raising Project or whatever.
Yeah, no, I kind of want a real and actual Magical Girl series. But yeah, I've been doing that. Going through Trigun still. Trigun's been fun. Gotta watch the most recent one of that.
How do you feel about what they changed to the Punisher?
What?
How do you feel about what you're caught up, right?
I'm not caught up. I forget how far behind I am.
Have you seen
I think I'm
Wolfwood?
an episode or two.
Oh, you haven't seen Wolfwood yet. Then never mind.
Oh,
I don't like how they.
yeah. No, so the Punisher's cool, but it's like,
Do you get why they changed it?
no, why did they change it?
It's no. You know what it did before, right?
I know it has like a bunch of guns in it. Was
The
its
top
main
part,
thing a
the
ballistic
top,
too?
yeah, the top part used to be a rocket, but now it's a laser.
Okay. Yeah, so that was different. All right. I was thinking, wait, no, because I thought the backside was a fucking
The backside's
Isn't the backside a rocket? And then the
No.
front side is like a longer gun?
Here.
Because like the long part,
here's
wasn't
the
the
schematics,
long
'cause I
part
brought it up.
always a gun?
The long part was the long part was always a Gatling. The front part, the
Yeah,
top of the
yeah,
cross,
yeah.
is always was somehow a rocket, but now it's a laser.
I thought the front part was a laser in the new one.
Nope.
I don't know. I was kind of just taken aback by the fact that there's like no decent sound design in that scene, which is like extremely unfortunate.
That's because lasers are silent, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I like to hear when I see a giant laser bisect something. I want it to be extremely quiet.
Gotta have the realism.
But yeah, so like,
Yeah.
you know, it's been cool.
Anything
Hey,
else?
at least Knives is cool, you know? Millions Knives is fucking cool. He does some crazy shit.
He actually has
Um,
knives now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot else. Oh yeah, been
Alright.
keeping up with Toma-chan. What's her name's character is very good. Sally Amaki's character is very fun. Her voice was a
Tomo-chan's, right?
little weird. Yeah. Her voice was a
She
little weird at first, but it kind of like grows on you / evens out more as it goes on.
I like
As her
how it's that she
character, like, gets
doesn't
more
she
stuff.
doesn't change her voice either way in both adaptations. It's the same.
Oh really? I haven't heard the English yet.
It's the same. She just
Damn.
speaks English in the other one. I'm like, that's cool. Very
Okay,
consistent
that's consistent, but that probably sounds even more strange.
compared to the other cast. I would say so, yeah. But I'm not gonna fault her on that.
No,
She's
no. Plus, I
consistent.
do think it's pretty cool that they're using her for both.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Dark, for your 2 weeks. What about you, Nier?
Well, I just got back from celebrating my dad's birthday. That was cool.
Happy birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Anything good?
We just went out for Chinese food. But
Did you go to an authentic Canadian restaurant?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that
Did
means
you go
either.
to
Nier.
the new restaurant in town?
No.
Just
Nier,
opened up?
what Canadian delicacies are up there?
What
I
do you
don't know.
mean?
Tim Hortons? What's that Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons is the Caribbean guy.
I don't know anything
Tim Hortons says Canadian
about
delicacy.
Canada.
Yeah, not quite.
Oh, poutine. That's like the one thing I know.
Yeah.
Although apparently James Hoffman, that one really like the coffee barista guy on YouTube, he tested out like a bunch of like instant coffees, and he said that Tim Hortons was actually like top 2. So
Oh,
Dude,
really?
maybe
Well,
surprise,
Canadian?
surprise delicacy.
Yeah, I mean, people like Tim coffee, but
Yeah.
we just went out for Chinese food.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I've been raiding, doing ultimate. I kind of I kind of hate that fight. It's kind of frustrating.
Was it recent news that some world first got banned, or is that old news? I saw.
No, yeah, that was recent.
That's pretty
All right.
recent. So yeah, the ultimate came out. So it was a little bit over a week ago now, right?
Yeah, because I think it was
And yeah,
last
and
reset.
then Race to World First was popping off. And then this one group, who I think when the Savage tier came out, I think they either got like first or second or something. But they're like a group that doesn't stream. They don't stream the races or anything. And they posted a clear, right? They were like, yeah, we cleared. We're the first.
No, I don't think they Oh,
yeah,
you
they
mean
did.
that they made
They
the
did.
post? Yeah, they made
Yeah,
the
they
post. saying that
posted.
they were
They posted that they cleared.
No, they didn't post the recording though.
No.
Wasn't there an unlisted video? I saw that.
Yes. So a little bit after they posted the clear that they said, we're the world first. There was an unlisted video that was going around. I forget what the title was. It was basically something like the truth is revealed or some shit in Japanese. But yeah, it was an unlisted video showing one of the members using a lot of cheats, like just attacks,
A
basically.
zoom.
Oh,
Wasn't
okay.
it like a
Um,
zoom out mod?
Yeah, there was
They had a lot
like
more than that.
the main
Oh,
thing
I
that
don't
a lot of
know.
people were making fun of was the big zoom out mod, which basically lets you see the entire arena and then some, which trivializes a lot of the mechanics in the fight. And then they had a bunch of other stuff, you know, timers and I forget what the term would be like, but basically like callouts and you know,
Yeah, they had timers, they had trackers for
yeah,
callouts.
they had a lot of shit.
I think they had that shit that was revealing stuff that you're not supposed to see, like lines
Yeah,
and stuff.
it wasn't like as uh apparent as some of the other, like there are some really just like disgusting plugins that are just like, yeah, it's just gonna like turn the arena red and then you just don't stand in the red and there you go, you've cleared the mechanic. It's really dumb. But yeah, essentially, the story behind that was apparently the group, um, apparently has, so a lot of world first groups have like a ninth man, because there's 8 people in a raid team, and they'll have a ninth man to sort of watch and like do callouts, and sort of, you know, essentially tell the group what to do, what's coming up, so that way they can have callouts without the stress of, you know, also playing at the same time. But apparently this group had a 9th, 10th, and 11th man.
What?
And yeah, and they were, those 9th, 10th, and 11th people were promised a clear after the first group cleared, right?
Okay.
And apparently they cleared, and then they told the 9th, 10th, and 11th people, yeah, never mind, that's not happening.
Oh,
So
classic.
they immediately leaked, you know, evidence of them cheating. Apparently it got into Japanese news, pretty quickly after
mainstream
FFPC is
that.
pretty
news?
big.
Yeah, it got into like Yahoo, like Yahoo JP News, which is kind of
Okay.
wild. And then the dev team, you know, made a response pretty quickly after, and then apparently they were banned. Their weapons, you get like titles and weapons for clearing the fight. Their weapons were removed by GM. I believe the achievements were revoked as well. One of the people that wasn't even in that group, but was like in the previous group, apparently deleted their character to like
Dang.
atone or some shit. So stupid. And then I guess another person like threatened suicide when one of the GMs was like, you know, interrogating them basically. There's a whole bunch of drama. Essentially, the long and short of it is don't cheat in video games. It's really not worth it.
Yeah.
And then I think like a couple days ago, the fight was actually cleared legit. But yeah, like there's a whole bunch of drama in Final Fantasy 14. There always is when there's a new raid tier or ultimate and
Yeah.
the world first happened. But yeah, this one was pretty spicy. I think it was more funny because it was Japanese players this time around instead of Western players cheating. Because usually in Final Fantasy 14, whenever there's like plug-in or like hacks drama, it's like Western players.
Yeah, okay.
And it's always the Japanese players that is like, Western pigs ruining the sanctity of our video game. And then this time it was a bunch of JP players, so it was I guess a bit of funny irony.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was a whole ordeal. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I haven't really been up to too much.
Okay.
Just grinding out shit in FGO, doing Shadowverse, you know, the usual mindless, awful shit. But yeah.
All right. Pretty good then. Toast.
So, Spire, have you heard of something called the first take?
I really don't want to have this conversation. I had this conversation and I don't want to have it again. Anything else other than
Did you know that there was a second VTuber on the first take recently?
Wow, who?
Have you heard of a Hoshimachi Suisei?
Yes. Where are you going with this, sir?
So this VTuber called Hoshimachi Suisei, she released a she appeared on the first take and sang Michizure, which is a song from her third album
Yes.
Spectre.
I don't know whether I would say that's a second VTuber, much more
I
than
don't
it
know,
is
man.
the first VTuber.
They both have blue hair, but this one has a different outfit. I believe it was from Hoshimachi Suisei's Shout in Crisis Second Live, the special outfit that appeared. Pretty cool.
All right. The second take.
Yeah, second take.
The second take. All right, you got me.
The
God
double
damn it, you guys.
take.
Anyway,
And
anyways,
she did the stuff that Miko wanted her to do, which is like the humming, and that was cool. Pretty good. Check it
okay.
out if you can.
Hmm? Anything
Check it
else?
out if you can. Also, I was gonna buy tickets for the Niji Sanji thing, but apparently, never mind. That was fun to watch.
Okay.
You know the what is it? The Niji Sanji AR Live Colors
Yes,
concert,
I am
or
aware over this
Sanji EN
concert.
apparently got canceled.
Not
And
surprised.
how are you not surprised by it? It's not like they've tried to do a concert every year, but they've always canceled.
Half of these get canceled anyways because either,
Yeah,
because of the COVID environment or because of some, half the time if they're in like, Japan or, in a Southeast Asian like concert or setting up, it's like there's a typhoon or earthquake or something like that. And it's just like there's just so much bad stuff going on right
why
now
is it always the Niji
globally and
Sanji
regionally.
concerts that get canceled though? I haven't seen any Hololive concerts being canceled. I'm very
I
suspicious,
have no idea. Might
especially with what
be bad luck.
some of the liars are saying, where they're like, "Oh, it's COVID" in quotes, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
mean
that's
that
pretty
that is
sus."
I
I
mean
really
that's
don't know
separate from the event.
why. I
That
Are
that is
they?
definitely it's just so stupid. It's like
I don't know
so
why
for those
they
of you who
would
don't
even
know.
be allowed to tweet that. Like,
Yeah, so
I mean, for
it's
one, I
because
don't
the
know if
Japanese
they
managers
are,
are
and
just
two,
ignorant.
it's like,
And for those of you who don't know, this is just do we
look, like I
okay,
said,
fine.
bold move for the cannon fodder of fucking VTubers to be doing
Yeah,
that.
for those of you who don't know, the TLDR is that the Niji Sanji event got canceled, and then a bunch of the Niji Sanji VTubers who were related with the concert, who were going to be like performing at the concert, were like, it got canceled due to COVID. All right, sure.
Let
Or
me
like
point out that it's
I think one of them
specifically
put like COVID in
it's all the
quotes
Well,
or
it's all the
something
male
like that.
talent
it's all the
too. Like,
male
yeah, yeah.
talent, which is why I say the most cannon fodder. Like,
That was
you
weird.
are hyper replaceable. Like,
I mean, it's just bad on their part, but
It's kind of weird
I'm not that surprised that they
how
did
they're
that.
saying it that way. Then I saw Miss Pandora's tweet, and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty professional." And I'm like, "Oh, good on you for."
yeah, again, probably because, like, she knows, like, how to do these things,
I mean,
how to handle these
she probably
scenarios.
ran that tweet by her manager as well, or instead of just hitting send tweet. Like,
Yeah.
Or being a person in society. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
This
wouldn't say
is.
Vox is a person in society, so.
That's why Miss
Anyways,
Pandora is the Tsukino Bito of Hololive Niji Sanji En,
uh,
because she's
yeah, I
probably
mean,
well mannered
I
amongst
I
the
don't.
crew.
The I might be coming off as a little bit of a boomer or like a much more strict person just because the line of work I work in has a lot of like that sort of red tape, bureaucracy stuff I need to cross the T's and dot the I's with. But, some of these folks, you'd think that they had never worked outside of even like at a Starbucks before or just worked, period, in their lives before. And it's just very frustrating. But yeah, either way, anything else on the VTubers, Toast?
There was that one doxing incident that was pretty funny to read about.
Okay.
Was it
Anything? Is
It
that
just it goes to
for
show you never trust anyone, not even your own gen mates. What was it? Was it Project Kawaii? That's right.
maybe? I mean, these
Project
Oh,
like
Kawaii, yeah.
doxings.
is that the one where one, I think like one member was like sleeping with one of the managers and then sort of like
What?
bullying all the
Oh,
other
hit me up
talent
with
or some
that.
shit?
Hit me up with that. I didn't hear about that. I was
All
talking about
right.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I heard about that. I forget
like,
what. Yeah.
all right. Well, let's
other
let's
than
talk
that.
about that
No,
one.
I'm pretty good. That's about it.
All right. Anyways, so I guess if I had to, I didn't I didn't do too much in the last couple of weeks. I was relatively a little bit busy with
How's Ohio?
I know. Again, there's a lot of. It's not like there's a lot of snowfall, but there's a lot of frequent small bouts of snowfall that never go anywhere except leave a bunch of ice on the ground and make it really shitty for cars to drive around and don't melt for days because the temperature stays at -7 degrees or -9 degrees Celsius or however much low it is. But it's been pretty
Isn't
fresh.
it starting to melt right now? Because it's starting to melt right now over here.
Yeah. A decent amount of it's starting to melt away. But the last 2 weeks were pretty. Again, there wasn't a lot of big snow, but it just kept like falling here and there, and then the ice came around, and I couldn't even run outside, and it was again pretty frustrating. My job is still indoors, so it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't exactly pretty. It wasn't exactly pleasant to be blasted by the winter winds every day outside. That aside, though, I did kind of fall into a little bit of back down the sort of Japanese content creator, Seiyu stuff like that. What is it? You know, watch some of Clara Konomi his videos. If you don't know her, Seiyu for most notably Chika and Kaguya-sama.
Never heard of her.
And yeah, who is this mysterious person? Uh, I did Yuta, who is a very, very famous musical content creator, composer, I believe. I think he did compose for like some actual anime songs. I forget. Yeah, as well as some Oishi Masayoshi clips. I've been pretty into his stuff and him going on the podcast and going on podcasts and talking about various topics within the music industry and just music and singing in general. That was pretty fun. Listening to that and also getting listening a little bit more to. I forget if I've mentioned this in the podcast before, but there is a channel and it is run by Bunkahoso ANG, which a uh, is a specific. It's not an agency. It's like a specific company that helps organize a lot of different podcasts, a lot of anime related podcasts for like different anime series or different seiyuu are tied to Bunko Jose and G. I forget who their parent company is. It might be Katakawa. I feel like it's Katakawa or like some branch of Cyber Agent or it's probably a couple of degrees of separation away from Abema TV or something like that. But either way, Bunko Jose and G has a radio called Uramote. So that's Japanese for double-sided, two faces, or back and front, or so. It's a podcast. It was originally called Urakata, I believe, where um they bring in different people from the industry and or the anime industry rather, and obviously something that might come to mind is slash actresses or seiyu, but they also bring in writers, directors, chief or people related with animation, with writing, with again the production side, just everything, and they just have interviews about them and again about the industry in general. And it's very fascinating because it's very hard to get, I think, constant podcast material like that is related to people talking about in depth on that industry and on a consistent basis outside of the usual superstars, right? You can have interviews with famous voice actors slash actresses or Urobuchigen or whoever, right? But it's definitely hard to have these sorts of lesser known people in the industry who are just as important in creating the anime that we watch every season and having them talk about it. So I'm pretty interested. Just listening in and just again falling back into the Japanese content creator hole a little bit. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet. Yeah.
Spire, how
So
do you feel about Physical 100?
physical 100 is that the variant of the Squid Game live
Yeah, that's
action?
the new
That
Squid Game that's on Netflix recently.
it doesn't make me feel good in my tummy.
Why not?
All the live action Squid Games, or not live action Squid, because Squid Game is live action, but all the reality show versions of the Squid Game stuff doesn't make me feel good in my tummy because
But they don't
Spire,
kill
it's
people.
just
Like, what's the point?
yeah.
They're the 100 strongest athletes in Korea. Why not? Don't you want to see who's the
Oh
strongest in
wait,
Korea?
is it wait no isn't Physical 100 like oh, I thought this was like a documentary. I heard about this
Oh,
actually from
oh, is it?
Korean content creators. I thought this was a documentary, but it's it's an actual survival reality show and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of
Yes.
it, but that's because I've had I've had a pretty
Is it because you're not competing in it?
yeah, it's because I
Fire
just
had a really
don't
fucked up run in Survivor.
yeah. Uh but
Really bad memories.
yeah, I have a relatively I don't know whether I would call it controversial, but I don't have a very favorable view towards Korea's current health and fitness culture in general. So I think this is more or less just an extension of that, and I'm not very fond of anything related to it. But yeah. Anyways,
What about
uh
the how are the VNs? Because I see one that's popping up on my feed recently. I haven't checked it out.
VNs such
How's
as what?
how's Ojo-sama Saimin for you?
So it's like that already sounds like very specific fetishes.
Ojo-sama
That
Saimin
sounds like a
breaks the
two
stride.
very
It's
specific fetishes, and
moving
not
around in
like.
some circles, and I'm like, huh, I'm not interested in this. But maybe
I mean, as
Spire would be.
far as it goes, though, there are a lot of these fetishes, but uh, as far as it goes, Ojo-sama and Saimin, like
I will
hypnosis,
say
right?
though, Saimin is
It's
a pretty
not
cool
that
tag.
bad
Check it
as
out.
like some of the other stuff. Like I would rather have hypnosis tag than the standard whatever, like I don't know, um like the tentacle tag or whatever it is. Like I would rather have just the
Spire, what's your
hypnosis.
favorite tag?
My favorite tag? I don't know whether I have like a favorite tag. Maybe if I had to just pick something that wouldn't be like super whack, maybe it would be
Yeah,
like
minus
I don't
female.
mine is female.
That's his favorite
Yeah, it
tag.
has to have a
Has to
girl.
have the minus sign. No,
Boys
has to have the
only.
minus sign in front of
A
female.
minus female.
Favorite
Oh,
tag.
I thought you were saying
Favorite tag?
yeah, it has to
Filter
not
all of
have
them
any
out.
girls in it. Yeah, exactly.
No girls allowed.
No, this clubhouse, no girls allowed. Sorry, guys. Sir, girls. I would say maybe Kiaru. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
yeah,
really have like a
yeah.
specific tag, really.
I mean,
But yeah,
yeah. I considering your taste, yeah.
what is that?
Who's your favorite Idol Master character?
My favorite Idolmaster character depends
he's right.
on the which like not generation, but like which. I guess if it's main Namuko, it'll be Miki Hoshi. That is Hoshi
There you
Miki. That
go.
has always been my main.
There you go.
Anyways,
What
that
about
has been my.
what is it? Is it Cinderella Girls? Yeah, Cinderella
Yes, it is
Girls.
Cinderella Girls. I
Who's your
have been a
favorite?
Kaede P, Takagaki Kaede, also voiced by Hayami Saori, for as long as I have known as long as I've known the
That's not what you
specific
said last time,
franchise.
Spire. I remember you going on like a 15-minute rant about Jogasaki Mika and her sister.
No, that
It's
was
true. That
because
is your
Bob
favorite
Guy
character.
is like that. I think that was because Bob Guy really liked Rika, the younger sister, for whatever reason, and then like we had a discussion, but that was completely different, I think.
If people
But
don't know
anyways,
my favorite is
Okay, covering his
Shibuya Rin.
tracks.
She's the cool type.
anyways, that was my that was my 2 weeks, and I guess we'll just start right off then. Starting off, I guess, with Dark. What do you have for us?
I have another very, very enjoyable series and kind of an interesting one, considering this season. I mean, granted, this wasn't one of the ones we shit on, but spoiler alert for ahead of the time, for like ahead of now.
Fire didn't like it though. I remember him like,
There
"Oh, I'm
are
not going to cover
some,
this."
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the.
there's some
I
interesting
was
stuff going
initially.
on here this season,
Yes, Fire. What's wrong with you?
especially in the
I wasn't impressed
Isekai
with the
realm.
initial flow and premise.
Well,
But,
yeah, I
but
mean,
then
the
again,
premise
I
kinda
read the. I
sucks,
read the.
but
I also read the initial like. So I think I read the first 10 plus chapters of the light novel or web novel or whichever one it was. I wasn't impressed by it. That's why.
well, you're
Remember.
wrong. So
Fire just hates Mappa.
Yeah, you spoiled it. What series are you gonna cover, Dark?
that's
Chainsaw
true.
Man, dude.
So I am covering Tondemo Skill de Isekai Hourou Meshi, which campfire
Yes,
cooking in
campfire
another
cooking
world
in
with
another
my
world.
absurd skill.
Light novel
so-
original.
Yeah, there's a light novel original being done by Mappa. It is adventure comedy fantasy gourmet series.
Oh,
is an isekai
gourmet!
series.
I like how
Yeah,
Japan
it's
is
a
so
gourmet
like
series.
hyper focused. It's so hyper focused on like just having these Japanese cuisine, or not even Japanese cuisine, but moments where the Japanese dude or will just make some meal like miso or white rice or fried rice, heaven forbid, in an isekai,
Dude,
and
pork
everybody just
tonkatsu
loses their mind.
that's
Yeah, or
insane.
wait
Spire-
till you see this guy make soap.
Spire, have you heard of a series called Toriko?
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Or have you
Yeah.
heard of a series called Cooking Master Boy? Or Cooking Papa?
Or
or
you mean
Cooking
Food Wars,
Mama.
I think. Cooking
Sure.
Mama is
Or you mean Shokugeki? Yeah, I guess.
yeah. Anyways, Dark. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, so this is a series about our main character, Mukoto Tsuyoshi, who's a 27-year-old, I believe, office worker, is transported into a fantasy world to rescue a kingdom from a mysterious threat. The only problem is that Tsuyoshi's only skill is cooking. He has like maxed out. He's very good at cooking, but his special skill is he just has an online supermarket that he can just order stuff from, and the box instantly appears. He does have to purchase the food though, but it is like normalized pricing. So like,
What does that mean?
as an example, if you want to buy like what would you call it? Something like salt, right? Like you just want table salt. We could go out, we could buy that shit for like 80 cents or something, right? Like it's nothing. But it still only costs him what the equivalent of like 80 cents would be in that world. It costs him like copper, like 2 copper coins.
Oh,
But
no.
then he can flip it for like gold because
Hell
people
yeah,
are
dude.
like, "Oh my god, where did you get such pure salt?"
Okay, I see. Okay.
So all of his
Forgot about that
prices
part,
are
yeah.
normalized as like, Japan like pricing,
Welcome to the standard
but with
isekai
that
where
currency.
spices are always expensive. And
Well,
their
yeah,
food
because
sucks.
it's like medieval.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this turns into, so he gets summoned in the normal isekai way with a bunch of other people who have like crazy skills. His skill is just that no one, he doesn't use it in front of them either, in front of the king and stuff.
Of course not. You
Because he
don't want
couldn't even figure out how to use it. And then later on,
Okay.
he figures out how great it is, but he already like leaves the team and everything. He gets let go from the king because the king's just like, yeah, I guess just like go live your life because you fucking aren't going to be able to help these people beat the demon lord. Like that's not happening. And so basically he wants to get away and learn more about the world and sort of like stay undercover to make sure that no one knows he's from another world. And also that he has skills like storage box, which apparently people are born with, which lets you just have a invisible, like interdimensional, essentially storage container, like as if it was a game. But some people in that world are just born with that. So it's one of those isekai worlds too, where it's very gamified even for the people there, and that's just like their natural existence. But his is like almost bottomless. Like his is massive compared to anyone else's.
Right.
And so yeah, so he tries to keep that under wraps. And in doing so, he joins a group of adventurers and winds up providing them food to get to the next town. While he's doing that one night, I forget what his specific like classification is. I think he's just a legendary beast. Fenrir winds up smelling his cooking and approaching
the
him.
wolf. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so the large wolf, and he offers to become his familiar if he keeps feeding him.
Yes.
And that's kind of like how they sort of group up with each other. And it kind of goes from there where it's very much focused on the dynamic of those two. What I know there are some other more major characters showing up, but they haven't yet, which is a goddess, the goddess of wind, who I think like gave Fenrir his powers, if I'm not mistaken, his like affinity for magic. So she's apparently showing up, I think, next episode, and like her shtick is going to be that she has a massive sweet tooth. There's a slime that still has to show up.
Most of the formatting in this series is similar to how the initial relationship between Fenrir and Mukoda Tsuyoshi, right? Developed, right? Where it's, oh, I am super powerful, and later on they will help him in various arcs related to isekai stuff, but they're all surrounding him, quote unquote, incidentally, because of his fantabulous cooking. So now he has the power of Fenrir. He has the power of the goddess of wind. I believe you said he has the power of the slime, and he's sort of not unknowingly, but he's sort of quote unquote accidentally borrowing their powers when problems along the way arise that are not related to cooking. That's sort of what's happening in this series for the most
like
part.
with Fenrir, like he's essentially has an infinite revenue now, even without flipping like his ingredients. Like he doesn't even have to do that again because Fenrir can just go kill a bunch of monsters and he can sell it for a massive amount of money whenever they need food again. As far as the slime and the goddess, they haven't shown up yet, so I'm not super sure how their dynamic is going to really work. I'm assuming the slime is going to be the shtick of it's even more bottomless of like stomach than Fenrir.
Well,
because it
my
literally
guess
just
is
dissolves
also
things.
Do you want the answer to that or no?
And I'm assuming the slime is going to do stuff like maybe like processing or like magic stuff.
it's gonna
or something
evolve.
Like that.
It's probably gonna evolve. My guess from the isekai I've read, it's gonna evolve, right? Because that's usually what they have the slime for. It's a lot of times, and there's that one Toast. You know that one isekai with the beast tamer, but then he tames a unicorn girl or girl, a unicorn, a dragon, and a slime, right? And they all turn into girls later. You know that one, right?
Slime?
I forget. A slime, a unicorn, and a dragon, right? I think they're.
Was it? I don't remember unicorn.
It was like the unicorn had like an electric power or something like that, like a thunder power or something like that. But either way, so in that series,
like a Kirin?
the slime,
Or like a Quillen
yeah,
type thing.
yeah, one of like the four mythical beasts, kind of like that stuff.
I know of a 4 mythical beast one, but it wasn't a unicorn. It was
no, that's different.
It was a phoenix, a dragon, and some other stuff. A
Yeah,
kelpie,
that's yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
So
ultimately, I mean, if you want to go, you can keep going.
Sorry, I was just saying
Well,
that
'cause
in that story, the slime sort of started out as the weakest one, and then like evolved over time to getting all
Oh
these
yeah, I
powers,
mean,
and that was part of
there's
this.
no doubt, though. I don't think it's going to turn into anything other than the slime, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. At least from what
the
I've
slime
seen,
is
it
gonna
does
still,
stay as a slime.
yeah.
But
The
yeah,
slime's
it
either gonna
does in the
serve as like a
intro.
comedic shtick or evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, it does in the intro have like it shoots like a hailstorm of like bullets at monsters or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, so far the world building has been pretty fun. And I do think it is fun to have it does have a fun balance between isekai the isekai like world building, the isekai sort of Tsuyoshi trying to like find his place in the world, and then also pair that up with, you know, like what's tonight's dish, like what's today's dish that we're cooking. And so far I think that's been pretty cool. I think it's been pretty fun the way they tie it into the story. There's one episode where he winds up finding out that they cook and eat orcs in that world, which is really interesting, where he was like, you know, he was like, okay, like really hesitant, like, you guys like eat these things? It's like they walk on two
Right,
legs. It's like, yeah, but they're like pigmen, like whatever, just eat them.
Right.
So yeah, there's been some stuff like that. His
That is honestly
interactions
more
between
common, I think, in
yeah,
isekais, because usually isekais are just they have orcs straight up as enemies, or even if they're just mindless or semi-mindless beasts, they have them as pretty much inedible. So it is actually relatively uncommon.
yeah. So they have that. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting with the world building is he's describing to, which I'll refer to him as the name he gives him, which is Fel. He's talking to Fel about how, you know, where he comes from. You know, he was like, "Are there no like cows here? There's no like domesticated animals. Like, what's going on?" And Fel's like, "No. Like, why would we domesticate animals like to eat their meat? We can just go out and kill monsters. Like, there's no." It's like there's no like shortage of monsters to hunt. Like, we just hunt those and eat them. So I thought that
Right.
that was like kind of a pretty interesting aspect to it too, where it's like, yeah, not only is he prepping these meals uh from these monsters, but this is just how it also functions in the world too.
Right.
The other thing is, you know, it does the classic isekai cooking thing where they can get their hands on certain types of food, where it's like, well, I guess sort of this is a little bit different, where since he's able to order, you know, Japanese, like, or just like other world foods from his
Mhm.
online supermarket, he's able to order things like melon pan and stuff like that, like stuffed
Melon bread.
breads,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
desserts, stuff like that. And all of those, and I believe it's like that, pre-done sauces and meats from that wind up actually buffing people, like giving them like a
Oh,
debuff,
that's
like a buff
classic.
that's like
Yeah, that's
other
classic.
world, yeah, like other
Yeah,
world
yeah, yeah.
stat boosts.
Like super.
So it was like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
time
yeah.
like he fed Fel,
That happens.
what was it, the A5, like the A5 like black wagyu, like the top, like the best one, and it doubled his already insanely high stats, and to the point where he was like glowing with magic. And so there's
So
fun stuff like that. The interactions between the two, I will say, are very, very fun. Where, you know, Fel bounces between sort of like the mentor and more like rambunctious friend character, and bounces between like that and or I should say like bodyguard like type, and almost like strong noble-ish type thing at certain points. And bounces between that and sort of like talking dog, especially when the food
you mean
aspect
like
that comes into
comedically?
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot of comedic shots with him as well. So if you're a dog person, this series also very good.
So there's a lot of balls that this story is trying to juggle, and I usually bring that term up when I'm, when the story is talking about, it has to do the isekai world building in addition to sort of the action slash problems that will oftentimes happen in isekais, such as battles or kingdom related drama. Oh, the princess needs to be saved in XYZ castles or whatever it is, right? You have that, and then you have the interactions between the characters, between the Japanese MC and the isekai characters, and they have their own little time, talking with each other, as well as the comedic bits in that. And then you also have Mukoda, the MC, exploring his own mechanics, which is honestly part of the value of an isekai. Because remember, part of the core sort of spiritual concept of an isekai, although people don't necessarily mention this, and that's why we sometimes call just high fantasy, power fantasies, isekais, because they sort of follow that spirit, is that they're power fantasy, right? So part of the value of reading a series that is a power fantasy is seeing the main character mess with his powers. And on top of that, they also have to show the scenes where he kind of feeds the Japanese food or cooks the Japanese food and then feeds them and have all that sort of processing. So what is sort of the proportion of all of those things? How much of the isekai world building is there compared to the comedic bits, compared to the isekai action drama, compared to the sort of character and the main character doing his cooking and showing off Japanese cuisine or world cuisine or earth cuisine stuff? So how's that proportioned
So
out in the anime?
that is kind of difficult to say in a way.
Okay.
Just because there is a lot that it does juggle it in a sense that there aren't as many defined cuts, I feel, where there are multiple dishes per episode, there are multiple things that go into it. But I do think it juggles it the way it does juggle it, the way it does balance it is done very, very well. Where
Mhm.
I forget exactly why I think it was just because he had it in his storage still. But when like I said, when he bought the table salt, when he went to flip it, that was from, you get to that point where he's flipping the salt and you learn that, oh, this is like something that I can do if I'm in like a really bad spot. Like I do always have this opportunity.
Mhm.
You learn that because he's using the salt from the prior dish. So
Ah, okay, okay.
it weaves a lot of that in between everything. There was when he goes to learn magic, he starts learning magic and he has this sort of like his first battle with Fenrir leaving him to handle it. The reason why was because when Fenrir had left prior, he had put like a barrier over him to go hunt for their meat to make their meals. And then
Mhm.
Tsuyoshi was saying, oh, is it possible for me to do that? Like, am I able to also use magic? And Bella was like, well, like, yeah, of course. Like you're in this world, whether whether you're from another world or not, shouldn't be relevant. Everyone can use it. And sure enough, he's able to. He's just currently shit at it, so he has to
Mhm.
literally like grind up using basic fireball as like his skill.
Ah,
And
okay,
so
okay.
it weaves a lot of the scenarios that they run into during cooking, during meals, to introduce
Back
those
back
other
into the
isekai.
application in non-cooking places, you mean?
Yeah, it was similar with how when he learns that they eat orcs because
Yes.
Bell goes
Okay.
out, hunts a ton of stuff, has a bunch of orcs, brings them back, and he's like,
Right, right, right,
"Can
right.
you eat these things?" And he tells him yes, and then eventually they go to the Adventurers Guild to have them like processed, like broken down to their meat, their hides, and to sell all the parts.
Mhm.
And the guy was like, "Yeah, of course we eat those. They're delicious. They're a delicacy." Like, what do you mean? And they get into a different sort of like conversation about some of the other aspects of the world. It was similar when he first gets his powers too, where he's traveling and trying to obscure sort of the abilities he has, where um, he uses his item box and he actively has to lie to other people because they're like, wait, you have item box? Like, wow, that's really rare. You must be really lucky. And he's storing things in it, and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to impose on you and use too much of your item box space, man. And he has to lie and say, oh, yeah, no, it's almost full, but it's fine. When he has essentially like a bottomless fucking item box because he's an isekai like hero and he doesn't want anyone to know that. So he does sort of dance around a lot of answers to not like screw himself in the sense of to not like show too much of his hand and let people know he's an isekai like hero without him having the knowledge of what that actually entails in full.
Which I also do think is an interesting part of some of these isekai series, or an interesting, more I guess standardized part of some of these isekai series, where part of the interaction now becomes, I have this cheat skill, now how do I sort of hide it, right? And that, again, that banter, it's like, oops, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to say I have infinite strength. That sort of thing becomes part of the banter that adds value to the isekai series, I think. So what'd you think about the audio visuals? Again, Mappa series, they
They're
got a lot of attention for
great.
that.
They're really, really good.
I just
there
want
are
to say,
some
by the way,
there's some
the
food stuff
animation
that's like
director, the animation director and the character design, the anime character design, not the original like light novel character design, but the anime related character design person, Otsunao, and art director Akaki Hisako, they are both actually related. I don't know whether they were specifically under Orange at the time or whatever they were doing, but they are actually both related to Studio Orange projects. One of them worked with, did I believe chief animation or art direction for Beastars, and the other one did background art for Land of the Lustrous, I believe. So that was that was unexpected. But I think a lot of these other people are also from maybe similar places potentially. So I think Mappa managed to scoop a lot of people who are available out of nowhere and create a pretty interesting, pretty surprisingly solid team with it, considering that it was for an isekai project that I think not many people were looking out that much for. So kind of interesting composition there.
Yeah. So that's been really good. The audio visuals are very, very nice. There are some like food parts where they don't make a ton of like fanfare with like some of it, certain aspects of it. They do, I think, do a much higher than par job on all of it in general. There are some scenes where they do go like way above and beyond though. Like with the I want to say, I can't remember, I think it was the first episode or maybe second episode. There's like a pork scene where he's cutting a slab of pork, and you can tell like, yeah, okay, here's all the money right here in this one slice. And they do a very, very good job.
I got it pulled up right here.
Let's see, is this it right here?
Yeah, that's it.
He oils the pan.
15 seconds in.
Up. Yeah. Yep. I didn't realize this was this long. Yeah. This scene, so yeah, the pork cutting scene is kind of insane. And they do a little bit more of that with him like tenderizing stuff. But what they do a lot of with certain parts of the food too is sort of the like they even take like melon pan, and when he's like ripping it apart, they make very sure that is the best and like spongiest looking one you've ever seen.
Oh, it kind of reminds me of Kofuku Graffiti. You know what I mean? You saw that?
Yeah. I've seen scenes
right?
from it. I haven't watched all of it, but I've seen what you're talking about.
Nier, did you watch it? Because it was Shaft, right? Because I remember
Yeah,
we
I
definitely had us
watch.
talking about the series just because there was so many chefs spoiling the pot, right? I believe that was the
Yeah,
analogy that I used. But the scenes in there were just
yeah.
like
I
chef's
mean,
kiss levels.
they were ridiculous, but yeah, that show sucked.
Which Spire, don't you mean
That show was story-wise, it was dog do. But
Yeah.
wow, these scenes are good.
Spire? Don't you mean
What-
Shokugeki no Soma? I've never heard of this Kofuku graffiti cooking.
yeah, that is true. Oh yeah, yeah. These scenes look good. These scenes look solid. The funny thing is though, like the character himself doesn't look good as like the cooking. So like there's this weird contrast where it's like it's cutting back to between the character himself,
Yeah.
the animation of the character,
Yeah, it's
where
like
he's
he
just
looks
oh
super standard, like very
yeah.
fine. And then
It
they're like,
looks like
okay,
he's from
but here's the
Media,
real,
and then
yeah, like here's the
yeah,
real
exactly.
shit. Here's
The
the
character
slam
is
on
this.
fork.
Yeah, the character is animated by Dio Media or Studio Dean or whoever, and the food is being animated by Studio Origin Chef. This is how I feel right now. It's so
Yeah.
weird. I mean, it's good. The food is good, and it's the main focus. So I don't blame them for it. But Jesus Christ. Oh, jeez. Oh, that looks good. Ah, dang it. Anyways, anything else?
Who's your favorite character?
Yeah, Fell. Easy. Easy. Easy answer. He's very funny. He's a very funny dog. And I'm trying to
Did you
think
know
of
who
what
he's
else.
voiced by?
Yeah, he's voiced by Satoshi Hino, who's also
Oh,
voicing
yeah,
fucking
nice.
what's his name? The main guy in Overlord.
Mm-hmm. He also does a lot of comedic
Or
roles as
even more
well.
popular, Kyojuro Rengoku from Demon Slayer, the greatest series ever created.
That is true. It broke every record.
Yeah.
He actually
Okay.
the funny thing is I mainly remember Satoshi Hino because he played Yamada's brother in Working, and because of that he kept coming on these working live shows because Wagnaria slash Working had a lot of very 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 cool live shows where like just all the A-list actors back then because they all worked on Working all came and just had a great time. And I like, although he did do Overlord, I always think of him as a comedic voice actor because of these sorts of roles. So it's good to see that he also, managed to fulfill that in this series as well. So, anyways,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that what you call his most popular role, Spire?
Yeah, I think his most
No,
popular
I would
role is
not call Yamada's
actually
brother his most popular role.
Oh, I mean as a
Chiage Hamazura from Index Season 3.
Ooh,
Season 2.
yes.
Okay. Level
Don't you
0 and
mean
skill out member. Obviously. The
don't you
third
mean
main
what is
The
character.
it?
third protagonist. Yeah.
Is it his most popular role from is Yuji
Yuji in what?
Shakugan Shana?
No.
That's a
No.
good
First of all,
pick, but it's
you're
not.
wrong because again, his most popular role is literally Rengoku. You're fooling yourself if you think that's not his most popular role. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
that's the reality. Are they in Demon
Yeah, I mean,
Slayer?
he's right.
That's their most popular role. Like,
The man is right.
objectively.
Especially since it's not like just a random side
Yeah, it's
character.
not like a random
It
side
is
character. It's
Rengoku.
fucking Rengoku. Like,
What
Rengoku
about
is a very big character.
what about Rail Wars? He was in
Like
Rail
he's super
Wars.
popular.
Shut up, Toast.
Shut the fuck up, Toast. Anyways, any last words? Any last words in for the series?
Yes. It's very, very good. It's very fun. Has a lot of good comedy. Normally, I'm not really like, oh yeah, I'm watching so much Isekai. But this is very, very good. And also, we did not mention here during the episode that the director is also the director for Kumamiko. And if you don't know about the drama surrounding Kumamiko, you can go do your own little research on that. That was horrific. And so the fact that he's doing such a, now granted, I don't know the source, so I don't know exactly if the balance is already struck there. But ultimately, I think that the balance is being struck here, and overall, it's being directed very well. So
Mhm.
I guess we'll find out in the final episode.
Another thing, how do you feel about the colors in this show? Because it's pretty unique, one would say.
Again, I think that's the
Uh,
orange influence coming in, right? From the animation directors and stuff.
I mean, I think
Probably.
the colors have been pretty good. I think I kind of do enjoy that they are very, like, especially for like Fell and stuff, that his coloration is like very, very vibrant, very out there.
Mhm.
And with like a lot of the other monsters, it does start to get pretty out there too. So, I mean, I've been
I
liking them.
I can't believe they're comparing this season's like color palette to Slime Tensei.
I
Oh,
mean,
I think that's a very.
It's like Slime Tensei, but
better
with a way
animated
better
than
animation studio.
what does that mean, bro?
Does
Slime
The
Tensei
wait
is a
color,
completely
Slime
different series.
the
Tensei's
color
not a cooking
palette.
series though.
No, I'm talking about the color palette of the entire series, like the way the backgrounds are super vibrant.
Do
I guess,
do
but like,
are isekai watchers like incapable of understanding that like anime has a very broad range of colors? Like I don't know.
In Isekai, there's
no,
a
you're either Overlord or
Nier.
you're Slime Tensei. So
Nier, check
shut up.
out these sweet colors. There's two types. There's the bland muted regular colors, and then this super bright.
the the Chad campfire cookie versus the virgin. What is it? Rakudai Kishi or whatever. Is that what we're? Is this what we're
That's
heading
not an
towards?
isekai. I was gonna say like infinite dendrogram. I don't know.
Or
Isekai
yeah, I
cheat
apologize.
magician. How,
Or
how,
was the
Yeah, I
the
mean,
mage's
at this point,
grandson or
you're
whatever? Was that
literally
bad?
being like, "Hey
yeah,
guys, on one
that's
hand,
the
this show good. On the other hand, this other show not so good." That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are
Yeah.
just a bit too used to mediocre production on isekai series.
That's how you set them up. That's the future of the anime
I'm gonna
industry,
be
though.
real with you, bro. I think people are like so like fucking black pilled that it's just like, oh,
Wait a minute, why is this
this other
isekai
series that has like
like
good
this other good
backgrounds. Wait a
isekai?
minute, this is just like
Maybe,
this other
hey,
isekai.
maybe that's the tech. Okay? So this is what's gonna happen. You use that isekai tech. What you do instead is instead of making better series, you make series that are spin-offs of the main franchise for 1 or 2 years that are just like not very good. Like they're not terrible enough to create a fuss, but they're just like, oh, I could do better. Like it could use a better palette. And then you go back to your regular quality, and people will be like, what? Like, I can't believe you made another masterpiece. Is that what they're trying to do with Evangelion Beyond?
We're fucked,
Is that the
bro. We're
tech?
fucked, dude. It's so over.
how
Nier is already quitting this podcast. Nier is like, no. Like- is that the tech? Is that what you think will happen, Toast?
why is Trigun Stampede so grungy looking while the original Trigun's super bright?
Is that how the
Half
Trigon
like half
saga is
this
gonna go too?
like all the episodes of Trigun always take place during like what duskish.
Yeah,
Is that supposed to be?
because
Is
it's
that
the
supposed to
mood.
be?
It's the
Yeah,
hashtag
man.
vibe, dude.
The allegory towards the spaghetti western, and
Yeah.
then for regular Trigun, it's mostly high noon.
Yeah, I mean, Trigun, the OG Trigun, also doesn't follow the source material very closely, so.
Yeah, but that's what's made it good, and his gun's cooler.
True.
That's that Badlands gun. Ugh.
But yeah. Anyways, any last words on campfire cooking, Dark?
What would you compare it to?
Slime Tensei, perhaps?
Yeah,
Damn, how'd you know?
absolutely.
Mushoku
I would
Tensei?
compare it only to Slime Tensei. But yeah, series is good. is very
Alright.
fun.
How,
Good stuff.
Derek, how does it feel knowing that you took both of the good isekais this season?
Yeah, proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take them every time now. You know. I don't know. Well, listen, the next one doesn't even count, dude. It barely counts as an Isekai at this point.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you, Dark, for helping to cover again Campfire Cooking in Another World with my absurd skill light novel original. I believe the Japanese name again is Tondemo de Isekai Hourou Meshi. What's the freaking name for what's the rakusho? What's the abbreviation for this again? It's like TonSuki. Okay, TonSuki is the abbreviation here. It is a anime series produced by Mappa, done under direction of the person who did Kumamiko, I believe, Matsuda Kiyoshi. But I think a lot of the animation people are also from various places, such as Studio Orange, and you'll see some of that reflected in the audio visuals. All right. Anyways, thank you very much, Dark, and I'll just take up the lead here and continue with Buddy Daddies. So this is one of the ones that had a lot of attention coming to it during the previews, I believe, and just in general in the
You mean
social media
Rush Hour
sphere.
3, 4? Is it 4? There's a 3,
Three,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's one of the rush hours. The blonde guy is Jackie Chan, and the other one is Chris. Tucker. But
Don't you mean the other way around?
it could be both. I could see both timelines. But anyways,
Which
this is
one
Buddy
says the
Daddies.
N word?
Yeah,
That's a good
I
question.
remember
That's the
that 'cause
actual question.
I recently watched Rush Hour and I was like, I forgot he said the N word in this, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, he does.
it's okay though. He was surrounded by he
He
got
has
backing by
the
Chris Tucker.
N-word pass. Yeah. But anyways, this is Buddy Daddy's anime original, I believe, done. So the original idea, they say it's a PA Works plus Nitro Plus collaboration, but what it
what a
really is,
collab.
yeah. It's just always the words that you want to hear.
Oh,
The
oh
people who
yeah.
made Iroduku, the people who made Iroduku
Oh
on the
my
World Colors,
God,
as
dude.
well as as well as what is it, Drakoi, the
Oh.
3D weird. You remember that fucking visual novel, right?
Yeah.
The one where like the mother like was this random general who had a tank or whatever it was. That was weird. Anyways, uh, it is not really a collaboration per se. It's between the two companies specifically. I mean, on they probably did it just to enhance the marketing, but it's really just the one writer, Shimokura Ryo from Nitro Plus, who also worked on Tokyo 27th Ward as the scriptwriter and I believe the general series composition person. And this is his sort of second general idea that he probably posited and so ended up working with most of PA Works. So PA Works is taking this idea that Shimokura made under their wing and also working pretty heavily they have a lot of subcontractors under their belt for this series. Most of the subcontractors are working on the 2D animation side, PA Works is taking most of the work in the 3D on the 3D side. But uh, excuse me, a lot of help on the 2D side, most notably JC staff. And I think for the most part, the audio visuals work out pretty well. Most of the 3D stuff is pretty limited to some weapon scenes and mostly just vehicles at like far range and stuff like that, and some of the motorcycle stuff. So pretty decent, pretty standard stuff. Most of the blending is done pretty decently. Direction is done by Asayoshi Yuki, I believe. Asayoshi Yuki, who is pretty much the main gun at PA Works now, the only person other than I want to say Shinohara Toshiya, working at PA Works on regular occasion. Yoshiyuki Yasai most recently did, I believe, The Day I Became God, which we did not give a very positive review on, but can't win them all, I guess. And he also did Charlotte, right? So
Oh.
so he doesn't have Nier does not give him the thumbs up.
I just see fucking psychic damage from you listing both of
He
those
did
series,
Charlotte.
dude.
He did Charlotte, and he did Then the day I became a god. The funny thing is, he keeps
Hang it
getting
up, bro.
work along
Just
with.
hang it up, dude.
Yeah, he just back it up now. He keeps getting these keyword collaborations as well as like the Nitro Plus collaborations. So he keeps getting like the visual novel studio collaborations, right? In general, but like it's just like, like we can have somebody else do it, right? But yeah, him and Shinohara Toshiya, I believe, are the main people who are sort of running or doing the main regular directions at PA Works now. I believe Shinohara Toshiya was the one who infamously did Iroduku the World in Colors and followed it up, barely saving the PA Work name by doing Akoto, which was slightly better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the days of Nishimura Junji, right, doing stuff like 2 Years, whatever, and as well as what is it, Ando Masahiro, who does a lot of action stuff, Kanan, Serious the Jaeger, as well as Hanasaku Iroha, which was also very great, and really I think made Okada Mari's story writing at that point shine a lot. But yeah, those names are Nishimura Junji and Ando Masahiro are no longer with us at PA Works. So these two are pretty much as good as you're going to get with Asai and Shinohara. So you have him, which Nier is already not pleased. He's already
Yeah.
going to close this series down.
A lot of
And yeah.
there's a lot of names that bode ill on this series, I think.
Yeah. And there's also the scriptwriter who's helping out, who is Kakihara Yuko, who did some Aikatsu stuff. She's done a lot of different genres, but recently she doesn't, I think, also have necessarily the best of records because she mainly worked on Digimon Tri. She did some of the later seasons of Chiaifru, which I think also was a little bit flatter than I want to say the first season. She did Iroduku as well. She helped with Iroduku, and she did Kids on the Slope, Sakamichi no Apollon, which I also didn't like. But yeah, most of the visual stuff, animation, character design side is pretty good though. Original character design for the anime original, surprisingly, was done by Katsumi Enami, who did illustrations for the original novel, the light novel Bakano, as well as Restaurant to Another World, which really fits the way you'll see it later. It really does. If you watch the series, it really does fit the series tone overall. And there's a lot of sort of bartending, like sort of inside building, right? Like they're at a bar or they're at a club or whatever, and it really the character design and the way that a lot of these like settings are done really does fit the tone of those places, the general theme overall. What is it? Most of the other sort of chief animation designers, again, the anime related character designer Soichiro Sako, as well as the art director and Sukihiro Mio, they're both veterans of the industry with various genres under their belt. They and a lot of the other animation directors and the general 2D related staff, I think, seem to be on loan from pretty solid studios and places like JC Staff, again, Studio Easter, some from A1 Pictures, so on. So pretty decent. Again, you kind of see a lot of this pan out in the audio visuals, which are pretty solid. There is one chief animation director in Sato Sanae who has a lot of years outside of the anime industry, but her sort of noted works in anime are a little bit more recent, not as many years, but she still does have a lot of notable work separate from any one studio. So she's not specifically tied to Asahi or wherever, but she did work on stuff like Heike Monogatari, Urusei Yatsura, so on. So all these very solid staff, I think. Again, it and does show up in the audio visuals. So uh, speaking, going on the summary real quick. So you have these professional assassins, Kazuki, so Kazuki Kurusu, Kurusu Kazuki, and Sore, or Kazuki and Rei. So Rei is the black-haired one, and Kazuki is the blonde-haired one. And they're professional assassins, and they're kind of living a very, I don't want to say callous, but sort of casual. It's just we're just living day to day, mouth to mouth, job to job, just like mouth to hand, kind of like, oh, we just get the contract, we get the money, and then we just live our lives. We bang the girls, whatever it is, and they're just living that life. And but during one of their contracts and one of their tasks, they accidentally come across a girl, small girl named Unasakamiri, and she kind of accidentally stumbles on, and Kazuki, the blonde-haired one, decides to save her and take her home to where both of them live, because obviously she shouldn't be in the middle of all these fights and killings and stuff like that. And so the rest of the story, it turns out the girl is related to one of their not project, but one of their contracts, and the people related to one of their targets. And she has a mother, but the mother doesn't want her. So the two end up taking care of her, and both of them kind of, the rest of the story is kind of an episodic set of, I guess, has an episodic pacing where they're taking care of Miri day in day out in various things, from school to feeding her, to making sure that she doesn't get lost, or making sure that she's all happy and well fed and stuff like that. And that is sort of where the story stands right now. And obviously Kazuki and Rei both have both the assassination tasks slash contracts that they need to take on, as well as their own lore, right? So a lot of the lore that you see implied slash related to the two male main characters is that their fathers didn't treat them very well, or treated them very cruelly, in service of them becoming these sort of like no uh you know these very tough assassins that you see today, these I guess tough but hardy assassins that you see today, that are just able to just kind of get the job done. So that's sort of been the bulk of what the series is. And I think so, episode by episode, very quickly, I'm not going to describe it, I'm just going to kind of go through my feelings about it. I think episode 1 or 2 were okay setups for the rest of the series. If they were, even if they were slightly at a slower pacing, that made it kind of seem more like a standard setup. And what I mean by standard setup for this sort of series is that usually when I see stuff like this, I just imagine, oh, the girl comes in, and then the girl is all cute, and as the two guys learn to deal with her uh, uh, as surrogate fathers, they learn to really become kinder people and more human people, and really learn what it means to have family and people close to them, and to what a father really means, blah blah blah, and all that, very standard vanilla setup, right? So I thought that was gonna be kind of it. And then episode 3, which I think was the best episode of the series so far, and probably will remain the best episode of the series going forward, booted to a much better level, because they included a little bit more of Miri's background, including the mother that didn't want her, and they kind of had the series had this whole mulling over and this retrospection on what it means to perceive family in different contexts and from different perspectives, right? Which doesn't make it novel. Certainly, these sorts of families exist both in reality and in story, but it did certainly make it more unusual and organic, and gave viewers something to kind of chew on with regards to the family concept discussion within the series, as well as what does it mean? What is your How do your morals and how do your values align with the idea of obligation to family, again from different perspectives, which I think is much better than just saying, oh, family, what was that fucking what is it? The family meme, right? Who did it again? Why
Vin
do I
Diesel?
forget the actor's name? Yeah, Vin Diesel. the Vin Diesel movie where it's like with the family meme. It's not just like that, and it's not just about loyalty, compassion. No, you got to be kind to people, and it kind of mixed it in different perspectives, more layered, more nuanced discussion, which I did like. But even that, I think that episode ended pretty quickly with ultimately the standard vanilla resolution of no, we got to have the kind family or whatever it is, and it was a little bit disappointing for me, I think. And I would have liked more of a sort of suspending that discussion, mulling over that different perspectives, uh, over the idea of family, sort of outside of just the the backgrounds related to the two main characters, because the way that this series creates tension is pretty much only through one shtick. It's through creating is it's by creating these sort of periods within each episode where there are throwbacks to Kazuki and Rei, the two male MCs, past where their fathers treated them not very well, treated them pretty cruelly, and contrasting that with the actions that they have to take now towards Miri, right? So that is the main contrast and the main way that the series, the writers create drama in this series. But honestly, that is not exciting to me. Like I can see that coming from about 7,000 miles away. It's not exciting. And I think what might have been more unique and exciting is discussing a little bit more of the different perspectives where not everybody is in the position to be nice, where not everybody is like, yeah, no matter what, family. Like I think that's a very just standard vanilla boring way to do things, which is pretty disappointing. Um I think the series does seem to struggle a little bit overall with more where exactly where it wants to go with the concepts it has, with the family, with compassion, with how to interact with the people around you, and eh, in doing so because it wants to stand out while still using these concepts, but it's not really doing so. So it has a little bit of the assassin action and just them running around and doing gunfights and actually shooting people and being like, "Oh, we're gonna do this like action comedy as well," and just take these props and just use the pan to like help with the gunfight or run away when we're screwed or whatever it is. Like kind of similar to Rush Hour almost in that sense, doing the action comedy. It has the action. It has a bit of the comedy. I do like the comedy that it's related to the slice of life aspects a little bit more. That's definitely up my alley. Um, so it has a little bit of that. It has a bit of the sort of again the family discussion, a bit of the we have to really be compassionate to family, that sort of shtick. But all of that storytelling, especially in the way that it's proportioned out, especially in the way that it's all integrated together, is so far exactly in the middle of the pack as far as anime series are concerned, and it's not really that worth talking about. So it's kind of confusing to me that they have all of these things that should be good and should be good seeds or should be good opportunities to tell a story that stands above, but they fail to do so with really any specific part of it. They don't really stand out with the action part of it. They don't really stand out with the comedy part of it. They don't really stand out with the family slice of life, compassionate contrast with Kazuki and Rei's lore. Kind of, they don't stand out in that aspect of it. They don't stand out in any aspect of it, and even the pacing itself seems to be pretty standardized with what it seems like an episodic pacing. There's going to be tiny bits of character development between episodes from episode to episode. And it'll probably, how many episodes? Is this 12 episodes or 13 episodes? Yeah. So it'll probably flare out. So, episode starting from anywhere from, I want to say, episode 9 or 10 and continuing all the way through 13. Or maybe it'll even be episode 12 to 13. Who knows? But there will be this final, probably like mini arc, right? That'll happen where it'll build up into this climax regarding Kazuki and Rei's previous histories and how they were treated cruelly, and it'll involve maybe Miri getting kidnapped or something dramatic happening, and then they have to contrast them saving Miri or dealing with Miri or whatever with how they were treated before, right? And that sort of climax and tension will resolve into some happy ending. So again, I can see this coming from a couple of miles away, but which is just not impressive, I think. But I just really wish that they would just take one of these things and just push with it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just the slice of life, the family discussion. It could have been the comedy. It could have been the action. Just make one part of it really stand out. But really, none of it stands out, which is kind of frustrating. And I want to contrast this a little bit with Akiba Maid Wars, right? Which is another series that Akiba Maid War done by Soichi Masui, which was the previous series that PA Works did with the Side Games collaboration and stuff like that, right? Which I also didn't give the best of reviews to. I said it was like a cheesy B-rate uh, Saturday morning matinee kind of flick, right? But one thing I do have to give that series over something like Buddy Daddies is that Akiba Maid War does stand out in how cheesy or how hard it tries to push some of its things and how cheesy it kind of portrays some of its action and comedy and like kind of cheesy. Oh, we're gonna be these specific maids have these specific personalities and they got into this surreal situation and now they have to shoot and kill and talk their way out of it, scream and talk their way out of it. That sort of cheesiness sets Akiba Maid War apart from the pack, but nothing that I've seen really in Buddy Daddies really sets it out from the pack. And again, I think it's a little bit unfortunate. And maybe yeah, Tokyo 24th Ward, I believe, Nier, you did that one, right? And you weren't very impressed with that either?
24th Ward.
Tokyo
That
24th Ward.
sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure I think I did cover this, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't were you impressed by it?
No.
Yeah, I think this writer they're working with, Shimokura Vio from Nitro Plus, I think he needs to kind of maybe go back to the drawing board because a couple of strikes here. Maybe one more strike, he's going to be out. But I just haven't been very impressed with the general direction, storytelling, and how they're kind of proportioning things out so far and how the developments are so far. But yeah. One last word on the voice actress side. Most of them have pretty good fits. All four of the main characters, I think, are pretty standard selections from the A-listers. Uchiyama Koki doing Reisua, the moody, gloomy kind of role. He does that well. Toyonaga Toshiyuki pulling up with Kazuki. Sorry, Toyonaga Toshiyuki, a veteran, again, done a bunch of roles and since forever. Pulling up pretty well with Kazuki here, doing the energetic kind of role. Kyutaro Kugi, or Kugi Kyutaro, or Kyu-chan as Kazuki calls him, done by Morikawa Toshiyuki, and the kid, Munasaka Miri, done by Kino Hina. And Kino Hina has actually done, not only does she do a very good job of sort of the baby little kid role here, but she's actually done quite a decent number of younger childish voice acting recently, and she's done a very good job on pretty much all of them. She did, I think, what is it, Alice Ramos, the sword baby in Hataraku Mao-sama. She did, who else was it? She did Hana's younger sister in Wataten, or Watashi ni Tenshi ga Maiorita, right? She did some other supporting roles. So in my opinion, she's really becoming the next quote unquote professional kindergartner role, voice actor role, after Kuno Misaki, who is infamous for doing a bunch of baby kindergarten roles such as Ichihara Nina and Cinderella, Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. So I think she's sort of becoming the next quote unquote professional kindergartner voice actress, but we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had
So
for.
Squire, What
Yes.
what what comedy movie is this most relatable to?
Most relatable to?
Which
Honestly,
yeah.
honestly, it would be more the pacifier than it would be Rush Hour. Because it's like the focus is
Oh,
not
it's not
really.
you're like what comedian does this series take most after?
Uh, it's
Is
so
this a
it's like it's pretty vanilla. I wouldn't say this takes after any specific comedian
is it
because I
like a
think that
Ben
would be.
Stiller movie? Is this a Will Ferrell
Yeah,
movie?
yeah,
Is
yeah.
this a
I think
Rob
that's a
Schneider
good.
movie? Or is this or is this Big Daddy by Adam
Um,
Sandler?
I think it's actually much more like an Adam Sandler kind of thing.
So this is
It's
Big
very vanilla.
so
It's
this is
so
Big
vanilla.
Daddy. You remember Big Daddy?
I have not watched it. I know of it,
The
but I
one
have
where
not
Adam
watched it.
Sandler suddenly gets a kid and he teaches him bad things.
The only like
Isn't that
movies that
like
I could.
anger management or whatever?
No,
Yeah.
Big Daddy's the one where he's like a lawyer and like
Anger
some
management is Jack Nicholson, and
yeah.
Was it?
yeah, it was him and
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
It's the
Oh,
funny
right,
Jack
right, right.
Nicholson
Okay,
face where
okay,
he's
okay, okay.
smiling.
Yeah, yeah,
What? And despite what some people say, I like The Animal. It's a funny Rob Schneider movie.
But yeah, it's the humor in this series is pretty freaking vanilla. Some of the slice of life portions of it are kind of up my alley, but other than that, it's very cheesy. But yeah. Anyways, that was pretty much all I had for Buddy Daddies anime original done by PA Works. Um, Original story and kind of
Who's your
composition was
favorite
written out
daddy?
by Shimoku Fuya.
Or
In this
yeah.
anime,
In Buddy
um,
Daddies, who's your favorite daddy?
probably Kazuki. The blonde guy is he essentially runs most of the story. Ray, the black haired dude, is more or less just the sidekick. But yeah, I
So it's like Men in Black kind of thing. Who's J and
almost
who's
yeah.
K? Man,
I am not sure.
this series
But,
sounds great. It's like my '90s comedy. I feel like it's all over again, or early 2000s.
oh Jesus. But yeah, that's I'm it, it's hard for me to really recommend Buddy Daddies. It's like not a series that I would be like, this specifically is an anime that is worth watching. I don't like recommending anime just to fill time. I like actually recommending anime just so people can I view anime recommendations as something that is valuable enough for people to take time out of their day to actually watch the series. And if you're really there's like nothing else and you're just brain dead just watching a series, then sure, Buddy Daddies, but I would not recommend it to someone in my opinion. So that's
Wow,
obviously not the most glowing of
he
reviews, but
he hates Spire hates two men trying to raise a single child. What
yeah,
movie?
I just hate things that break up the atomic fam or the nuclear family, right? And the nuclear family.
What's the movie with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Uh, Twins. He
Twins?
hates twins.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hate two men trying to create a happy family. That's what it's all
Oh,
about.
is that the one where which one's the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant? Is that also twins?
No, that's something else. I
It's
forget.
different.
That's a different movie.
Yeah. Anyways, that is pretty much my entire review for Buddy Daddies. And next on the list here.
Oh, that was Junior, dude. That also had Danny DeVito in it, didn't it? Oh man.
God damn. All right, we need to move on. It is Toast.
Oh,
What do you have for us?
speaking of pregnant women, what was my series?
What?
Oh, so what series did I watch? Reborn to Master the Blade from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire, also known as Eiyuu-Ou. Like,
Yeah, so this is a light novel original. The Japanese full title is Eiyuu-Ou Bu o Kiwameru Tame Tensei-Su そして世界最強の見慣れ騎士. So
yes,
this is the short abbreviation for this is AUO, literally in just like those letters. But obviously, if you read it straight, that it's pronounced AUO or Hero King,
I
right?
can't
So
believe
which
it
is the
took
beginning of the title.
Spire months, or was it weeks,
Yeah,
to figure out
no, it was.
that.
Well, I wasn't
Years.
thinking about it
Years.
years. I was just pondering over this title. But yeah, I was just before the podcast. I looked at the title AUO and I was thinking, wait, why did they call it AUO? While I was looking at the Japanese title, I was staring at the Japanese title and thinking, why is the abbreviation AUO? And then I like pronounced it in my head, and I immediately just I was just like, you guys can call me out. I'm like the dumbest person here. I apologize.
This
But
guy
yeah, if you just
obviously
read that,
isn't
it's
a
you.
Fate fan. If he watched Fate, he would know
But
Gilgamesh is the
it's
AUO, who's also a hero king. But yeah, so so how you like isekais, right?
depends on the person
How
here. I
many
don't
how
think
many how many reincarnation isekais do you like? Because I can name
how many.
0.
3 right off the bat.
Some
So
of them a decent amount.
so the series starts off with this dude, AUO Inglis. Inglis, get it? Yeah, Inglis with an I. He's
Hmm.
the hero king of what's Silvare, and he's like, "Oh, I'm an old man on my deathbed," and people are like, "Oh, hero king, please no, don't die." He's like, "Too late. I'm dying. I've lived a good life. The rest is up to you." Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. So on his deathbed, he's like, "Oh, I'm dying, I guess." And then he meets the goddess Alicia, and he's like, "Oh, hey, goddess. It's been a while." He's like, "Hey, you were a good hero king and all that past life, and you did good deeds. So I'm going to reincarnate you. You want anything?" And he's all like, "Oh, not really. I lived a good life, but my one regret is that I lived a life as as a
A man.
divine knight of the goddess and did many cool things and founded this kingdom, but I never
Two.
really got to fulfill my goal of being a strong martial artist because I had to settle for being a
Oh
king."
right. That was his dream.
And she's like,
Yes.
"Okay, I'll reincarnate you. Good luck." And he's like, "Thanks." And then apparently he drew the short end of the genetic lottery, because when he reincarnates like an indefinite amount of time later, he's now a girl. What
Oh
what are
my
the chances?
god.
What are the chances of being a girl instead of a dude when you reincarnate? Like,
50-50, really.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Are
Depends
you
on the
sure?
god you fucked with.
Yeah.
Or is it really 50-50? I thought it was like no, it's a 51-50, is it not? Due to the chromosome
I
thing.
I guess, yeah, sure.
So yeah, he got the 49% like losing ticket, so he became a girl. He's like, "Oh," so he's like a 0-year-old child, and still got all his memories and stuff. Then he gets attacked by a dragon. He's like, "Oh, cool, a dragon," and he kills it as a child because his power as a divine knight is he takes aether into his body and converts it to mana, and he like shoots spells and stuff. He shot a beam. It was pretty cool. Well, I guess she shot a beam. It was pretty cool. So he killed a monster as a baby, but no one knows. Don't worry about it. And then so basically the background of the time period he lives in is that technology has regressed to the point where people who live on the land or whatever have lost their ability to sense mana and whatnot. So
So this is so wait. Can I ask something? So is this so you know how this is a standard thing of the power regression, right? Like when they reincarnate, there's less.
technology
He
has
was super power.
degraded, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the
So
civilization.
did it degrade due to peaceful times, or was there like an apocalyptic thing that they're going to come
No
back to in
one
the story,
knows
or
as
what?
of yet, but
Okay.
basically, well, he's reincarnated after an unknown amount of time. So how people
Oh.
how people deal with it is they have these runes, you see. So there's 4 types of runes: special rune, greater rune, common rune, and a lesser rune. And during their coming of age ceremony, is it like 12-ish? I don't know. I think 8, maybe 8. I don't remember what year, but like when you go to the church and you put your hands on this rune box, and what the rune box is it tunes your mana wavelength to
Mm.
appropriate type, so you can wield an artifact, which is like this special weapon, which you can use to defeat the Magicite beasts. Oh, Magicite is it has to do with this rainbow rain that falls every so often. It's not harmful to humans or whatnot, but it turns the flora and fauna into monsters. So, job as a knight is to take your rune, take up an artifact, and defeat these Magicite beasts. But when English, because apparently that's his her well now her reincarnated name, but everyone calls her Chris, so I'm gonna call her Chris. That's her nickname. So when Chris puts her hand in the rune box, she's like, "Oh, you're trying to temper my mana, right? Well, that doesn't work because I've got Aether, and my mana's already so strong, so it bounces off." When she pulls her hand out of the rune box, she doesn't have a rune, so she's a runeless
Yeah.
knight. Get it? Get it? Have you heard? It's just like the other series. But yeah, so she doesn't have a rune, but her cousin, because her cousin, what's her name? Rafina gets a rune, and she's like, "Oh, because I'm a runeless, I can't become a knight in my knight family because she was born to like a knight family. Cool, I guess. But I can be your squire." So that's the whole reason with this series is, or that's the whole thing with the series is, she's a runeless knight, but and so she can't be a knight, but she can become a squire to her cousin Rani, because that's her nickname, Rafina to Rani, and that's her whole purpose of being now is just like the other 3 other Isekai series where you suddenly have the weakest crest. What is it called? What is that series called? The strongest sage with the weakest crest. She's runeless, but she can defeat Magicite beasts. So that's the entire premise of this series, in a way.
Is it episodic or like what's happening? Mini arcs?
It's pretty straightforward. The whole thing with the main character's reasoning for wanting to become, for wanting to become reincarnated is, oh, now they don't have ties to anything. Now I can become the strongest. Like, I'm no longer a king. I can become the strongest swordsman in the world, or something like that. So it's a pretty super generic uh, goal that she set for herself. And now that she can't become a knight. That's fine. She didn't want to become higher up in the hierarchy anyway, because if she gets too strong, or if she has the strongest crest, then she might become a king again, and she didn't want that. So having no rune is great for her. Now
So
she can
is this
run free all she wants.
so is most of the series kind of limited to her being in the academy and event like is
No,
going on like
Academy,
quests every
no.
once in a while or yeah, okay. So she actually goes around to
So
like
the
different regions
main,
and stuff like that.
yeah, the main focus of this series is just her fighting, whatnot. Her goal is just to fight the strongest people in the land and like go become the strongest swordsman. That's literally it. She doesn't her goal. She doesn't want to become like a king or whatever. She just wants to fight strong people, and that's the character's main motivation throughout this entire series, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yes. And like there's this overarching plot that about the Magicite beast, where it comes from and whatnot. There's also this other faction. Okay, so remember when I said that the people in the land have degraded mana, so they can't exactly. So it takes a special kind of knight, aka these guys who use runes and artifacts to fight these Magicite beasts. Well, they get them from these people who apparently live on floating islands called floating islands of Hyrule or whatever. No, that they live in the Highland. That's them, the Highland. And then the people who live them are Highlanders. And these Highlanders are the ones get it because they live high in the sky.
Yes, yes, I
So
understand.
they're the ones who provide like the technology and the means to fight the Magicite beasts to the commoners living down low, and then the commoners have to pay tribute to whatnot to them in order to get their stuff. So I mean, there's that. So the bad guys or the what is it? Um, the evil organization, I guess, that oppresses the people who live on the surface world while they stand there in the lofty floating islands and whatnot. And then there's this evil rebellion group against them. Guess they're the good guys, but not really. They're called the Blood Chain Brigade. And what they do is they use something called prism powder, which is, I guess, an extract obtained from magicite beasts. That's not hard. Like again, it's not like most of the magic stone stuff. Magicite is harmless to humans, but apparently it affects the Highlanders and turns them into evil monsters and whatnot. So the Blood Chain Brigades focus, because they're the bad guys, is they deal with Highlanders and like they turn them to magicite beasts. They're trying to overthrow them,
Okay.
so they can spread the technology to the common people, so they don't have to pay tribute to the evil Highlanders, the evil nobles of the world
Oh, okay.
and whatnot. So it's pretty generic if you think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty standard developments there.
And the whole
Um,
thing, but the whole thing with the main character though is she doesn't care about any of this.
oh, okay.
She
Well, how
literally
does she
fights.
respond
She
to it?
literally fights everyone. It's like I don't care. You're strong. I'll fight you.
Oh,
And everyone's
that's
like,
actually more
"Oh,
interesting.
really?"
That's actually an interesting aspect of it because it's like if the character started out as a premise of, oh, I'm just going to become the strongest warrior, and then it became a very standard, I'm going to be the good guy and save whoever, that'd be one thing. But the fact that she responds, or he, or whatever, responds in such a way where she's so hell bent on just fulfilling the idea of becoming the strongest warrior that she just says, "I'm gonna freaking fight everybody." That's an actual interesting
That was
story
pretty
trope.
fun because there was this plot in I think episode 2 where
Mhm.
her and her cousin Ronnie were attending a a social gathering, a coming of age thing, and there was a
Mhm.
Highlander there, and the Highlander was previously some guy they met a couple of years ago who was like a merchant on the surface, and he paid enough money to the Highlanders to become a Highlander herself, and they taught him magic and whatnot. So like he's abusing his power. He killed someone, and she was like, "Oh, I want this woman," and then the main character is like, "You like I'll go in her place instead," and he's like, "Fine, I'll fine, come to my mansion at late at night and whatnot," and then she goes to his mansion alone, and then so I think some holy knight stops her. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, don't you see
Mhm.
what you don't give up your life for this?" And she's like, "Oh." Like this is the only, and then the main character is like, oh, this is the only way I can deal with this. And so the Holy Knight lady, which is they call her a Hyrule Menace. I don't know what that means. I think it has something to do with like artifacts. Like they're special artifact users. No, not. And she's like the artifact user's like, oh, if you won't listen to reason, then I'll have to stop you here. And she pulls out her swords. The main character is like, oh, you threatened me, didn't you? So you're challenging me to a fight. Then they start fighting, and I was like, oh, that's a because they're both trying to do the same thing, like to stop the Highlander guy, but since the Hyrule Menace chick called her out and was trying to trying to intimidate the main character into backing down. The main character was like, "Oh, you want to fight? I'll fight you," and then they start fighting, even though they're on the same side, I guess. So that was fun.
So
She literally she
I
fights everyone. She's neutral-ish in a way,
uh,
but
I I think honestly that's probably the only real side of even just this genre in general that I like, where I think I've never been very impressed with these sorts of series. This series or like that other one series where the old man wakes up as the young girl like wizard or whatever, and
I
she has
hated
to
that series.
pretend that that series. I've never really been impressed with these sorts of series, but I do like the fact that at least with this series, there's that aspect of really pushing that premise of like I'm gonna fight everyone. The only other one that I've kind of liked was, and the only one that I sort of kept up with, what back when I was reading a lot more web light novels and web novels, was Bunimi, right? You know that one. Bunimi o Sasukete 104年 エルフでやり直そう。やり直す武者修行. That one, the web novel where the really old elf, or yeah, the old, not elf, but the really old human martial arts master dude dies, becomes like an elf boy, and then just really kind of just runs around and tries to fight everybody, right? That one is the other one that I kind of like, but I do like sort of that part of that premise, but I've always found that these series have a hard time with really extending that, where everything else is just very standard, like isekai happenings. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but
So
it
yeah,
is kind of what
so
you get
there's
with fan
supposed to
fiction.
be some, I guess, even though the main character is like this, like I'll fight everyone, no matter. Like I don't care about because all the all the main villains are like, wow, if you're this strong, why don't you help me? Why aren't you on the side of justice? And she's like, I don't care about justice anymore. I've already experienced a life of justice. I just want to fight, become stronger, and
Uh-huh.
whatnot. So,
Again, I think that's honestly more interesting than the standard sort of setup, to be honest.
like
So I
the
do like that.
only she's still on the side of good because of her cousin.
Hmm.
Because she's acting as a squire for her cousin, so her cousin's actually the boss. So
Okay,
if she
okay.
wants the main character to do something, she's like, hey, she's like, all right, I'll do as you command. Like whatever you want to do, I'll help you out with it because that's her cousin and whatnot. Also, she's like the only character that her her cousin's the only character that she likes in a way, like,
Hmm.
but not like romantically. Don't it's not lesbian yet. He mentions that because I'm an old man in a chick's body, even though I'm super hot. It's like he treats Ronnie like a granddaughter, really. So it's not weird yet. Don't worry, they're 15. It could change. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Ronnie acts as like the moral compass of the two. Like, we gotta help people. And she's like, all right, I guess. So there's that.
Okay.
But yeah,
Anything?
but the main drive of this series is the fights. Because the main character
Hmm.
gets into a fight with anyone strong. Like I mentioned earlier that there's this magic powder that turns Highlanders into magic side beasts. So she's like, "Oh, I'll fight this beast," and she fights this beast. And then there's the Blood Chain Brigade, who's like, "Oh, we're gonna we're gonna free the oppressed people from the Highlanders. And then there was this chick who was spot on, like, oh, are you on the side of justice? She's like, I don't care, you're in my way. So they start fighting. That was cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, this series
And
is
you,
main draw. You come there for the fight scenes with the main character. That's it. Really,
uh,
pretty
any words
lackluster
on the
story
audio
and whatnot.
visuals?
Uh, oh, this anime is made by Studio Comet. It's kind of weird
Yes.
if you think about it.
Their they actually do have a lot of experience under their belt. Surprisingly, I keep forgetting they although they are mainly were they previously more of a 3D CG, but
No,
they are both back.
oh,
Yeah, they didn't even do 3D CGI, but they're taking over that for this series. But they did do stuff like Chikuboebu, Cute High Earth Defense Club. I believe some of that. I don't know whether they did the first season of that, but they definitely did the later seasons. They
funnily enough,
did,
I believe this Studio Comet, is the one where I watched the most sports anime from.
yeah.
Weird.
Apparently, they
It's
also helped with Initial D as
yeah.
well when they
Initial
did
D,
Chill
I'd
Pet.
count
Yeah,
that as sports anime. Initial D's CG in first stage kind of sucky.
yeah,
Also,
yeah,
Kakuta. I've watched Kakuta. That's pretty good.
yeah.
And what else?
They've surprisingly done a very
This
a
is an
lot
old
of series.
studio.
Yeah.
School Rumble. Damn, that's old.
Yeah.
So I guess this is their first return to. Would you call this mainstream? Is Isekai mainstream?
Well, I
In
mean,
a while,
Isekai is
because
mainstream, but I don't know whether I would call
I wouldn't
this
call I
mainstream.
wouldn't call this series mainstream, but Studio
Yeah.
Comet's mostly done what are these, like, kids shows for a while, for a long
Yeah,
time.
kid
So
shows helped out with helped out on the side stuff with rent a girlfriend with what else is here with some other stuff I think, but yeah, the mostly kids stuff recently I think Jewel Pet.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so this is an odd studio. Suzuka. Ugh. Oh.
You can't win them all, especially if you've been in the industry for this long, but yeah,
Audio
any last words
visuals,
on this one?
I'll say
Yeah.
it's at the benchmark of an average isekai. It's probably like one or
Grim.
two
That's
stages
grim.
higher. Definitely, like, what would I call the the average isekai ish?
Is it better or
Uh,
worse than a Studio White Fox series?
what isekais have they done?
Uchi Musume?
Which one was it?
Uchi no, if it's for my daughter, I'd even defeat a
Oh,
demon lord.
yeah,
Was
it's
that White
about that
Fox?
level. It's about that level,
Okay.
so it's pretty good. They also Shincho Yuchi. They also did the Cautious Hero, right? Yeah. Um, Grimoire Zero. Yeah, that's a good benchmark. Squire. That's like I'd rate that studio.
Oh, Grimoire of Zero-ish? Okay.
I'd rate that studio like a 7 or 8 on the isekai like
On the
animation
Isekai
tier.
scale?
Yeah,
Okay.
5 being maybe the cell phone one, or it was cell phone,
Oof,
smartphone,
okay.
isekai smartphone, or
That makes
that
sense within the scale, though. That makes sense within
Sekai cheat
the
magician.
scale.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
definitely on the higher end. The
Okay.
fight scenes, the fight scenes look way better than the scenes where they're not fighting. So you can definitely see where they put the budget because there's a lot
Okay.
better shading and uh, facial features compared to when they're in the daytime. They're just sitting around like talking. So they got the priorities straight. Voice
Yeah, I
actors,
mean
I don't.
that's better than the reverse where it's like they would have just characters talking or just flipping their hair and during slice of life scenes, and then the action scenes are just terrible. That was stuck much more than what they have right now, at least. So
The the voice actors, the only three that I can take notice of are the main character, which is
mhm.
Karikito. If you don't know,
Sakari Kito,
is
if you do not know her, you
probably
should.
if you don't know who she is, she's the voice actor of the name. What's the name of the chick in Tonikaku Kawaii? I don't remember her name.
She's done main roles
Tsukasa? Yeah,
in
Tsukasa, yeah.
Zombieland
Tonikaku
Saga, as well
Kawaii.
as she did Demon Slayer stuff. So it's
Really? Oh, she's Nezuko. I've never heard of who's
yes,
Nezuko.
she's you, you just
Man,
realize now that that this is part of why she even blew up, because she got Zombieland Saga, and then just a little bit after she got Demon Slayer.
man,
Like
she doesn't talk.
she went from
Nezuko
she went
doesn't talk.
from she went from she was still popular before, obviously Zombieland Saga, as well as Demon Slayer, but she went from from being merely popular to being ridiculously popular,
Oh man,
becoming essentially an S list Seiyu in a matter of
oh right, I
probably
forgot
months.
she was the blonde chick in Blend S. Yeah, that's her most
Yeah,
famous role.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah. That's yeah.
And then there's a Kakuma Ai. I've never heard of this person either.
Come on, it's also pretty famous.
She's so famous. Name one of her roles.
Uh, I forget one of her.
See,
She had a role in Genshin, right? Because I remember one of her interviews.
Genshin. I don't
I
play Genshin.
forget, but yeah. Anyways, any last
And then
words on the
there's
series?
there's this one chick, this tomboyish chick. I believe it was there was that spear chick that she was fighting that the main character was fighting that one time. Who had a pretty deep voice. Kitamura Eri. I don't know who this is either. Sounds kind of familiar though.
Nobody. Yeah,
think
Yeah,
nobody.
just a random person in the industry.
I think she was. I believe she voiced the dude in Yaruko. I. It's
Yes,
like the
that
only
is one of
role I
the.
remember.
Anyways, any last words on the series?
Oh, all right. She was also Uni. Uni's a cool character. Yeah. Anyway, this series, I'll rate it pretty good.
Pretty
Pretty good.
good,
I
pretty
came in.
decent.
I came into this series like I just want some cool isekai fights, and I got what I wanted. Some cool isekai
Okay.
fights. With It's definitely better than what the other series where he was like, oh, where the main character is touted as a battle junkie, but
Mhm.
the animation was horrible and the story is pretty bad too. What is it? Black Summoner? Yeah, Black Summoner sucks compared to this. Also, this series is all about the chicks because all the main characters are chicks.
Okay.
There's literally the main character is a chick. The knight that she serves is a chick. There's some other chick with twin tails. Both of the Hyrule menaces so far are chicks. Uh, there's some dude knight, but who cares? Also, her cousin named Raphael. The name Raphael? Yeah, Raphael or Wrath. He's a dude who has he has the special rune that qualifies him to be a hero. Who cares about him? There was some
Okay.
there was some subplot like, oh, they're all cousins. So Ronnie was all like, hey, Chris, if you marry my cousin, we can become friends forever. And she's like, ew, no way, that's kind of gay, because he's a dude. He still identifies as a dude, so it's like, ew, thanks. I like women, so yeah.
Okay. Well,
That,
yeah.
that,
I
that does
guess.
pose some moral problems. If you reincarnate as a chick, but you still think like a dude, is it gay? No, like you're kind of it's kind of gay both ways. If like there's no winning here, is there? Because if you suddenly like dudes, then you're gay, you're homosexual. But if you like chicks now, even though you're a chick, lesbian,
What the
you
fuck
know,
are you talking about?
All right.
near,
The
near,
quandaries of man, dude.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
it's the futa thing all over again. But yeah, I
Anyways.
I took notice of this series because it's drawn by a pretty cool artist. If you don't know, it's Nagu. If you don't know who Nagu is, they've basically drawn art for every mobile game that's popular right now. Name one, and I bet you Nagu's in there. Fate Grand Order, Azure Lane, Girls Frontline. Is she in Arknights? I believe the cat girl in Arknights, that's hers.
Mhm.
She's pretty prolific. She's also done animation work for Onimai. And apparently,
Mhm.
episode 2,
Yes.
if you see the Guilty Gear Strive stuff, that's her playing. Ha ha ha. So,
And you can see a lot of her material on her Twitter as well if you want to check it out.
so
It's
good
Wooper
on her.
Furry.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
on her for having good art. Oh, I mean, she also draws some light novel art other than this. I forgot the other series. But yeah, pretty prolific. What can I say? I like this person's art. What would I rate this series? You know what? I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. Just turn your brain off, watch some cool fights, cute girls doing cute things in an isekai. Definitely way better than when a dude does it. Because, like, your black-haired Kirito, overpowered main character, strong, like,
Okay.
it's definitely better than Strongest Sage with the weakest crest. Don't watch that. It's definitely better than series, the one with the orange eyes.
I don't know.
The one where the dude was like, "Oh, I'm this overpowered sage, and I defeat the demon lord, but they don't like me, so I reincarnated 200 years later." You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about, right? Uh,
Uh. Oh yeah, I think I do. I just forget the name of it. I just. But yeah. Anyways, I do have to move
there we go.
on.
I found it. It's
What is it? What is it?
I don't know. Yeah, the reincarnation magician of the inferior eyes. Yeah,
Oh
I'll just
no, I
say
don't know that one.
it's definitely better because if you're in watching isekai for cute girls doing cute things, it's definitely better than a random dude doing things. So yeah, check this out if you want. Just turn your brain off. You'll enjoy it. Just watch
Okay.
the cool fights. 8 out of 10.
All all right. Well, anyways, thank you, Toast, for that review of Reborn to Master the Blade. Again, done by Studio Comet, light novel original. Last but not least, let's turn up Nier. What do you have for us?
So I watched uh Nier Automata, version
Yes.
What's that?
1.1a. Well,
Is that your namesake?
sort of, yeah. Actually, a little bit. Um, so if you haven't heard of Nier Automata, I don't know how. Um, Nier Automata is a video game.
Is this
That
related to
launched.
Drakengard?
Yeah, actually. Nier Automata launched in like what 2016. Um, for the PS4. It is a sequel to the game Nier. Um, and I think over the course, like since launch, Nier Automata has sold something like 4 million copies. I think. Um, it's been, it's gotten DLC. It's re-released on the Switch recently with some extra bonus goodies. And it's a pretty popular game. It's gotten a lot of fan art of the main character's ass, and people enjoy this game.
What was the whole debacle with
Yes.
Yokotaro? He's like, "Where's this fan art?" or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? He was like, Where's this fan art? Send it to me in a zip file so I can look at it."
Yeah, he was encouraging of the ass, I
Yes.
think.
Um, but yeah. So this is an anime adaptation of sorts of the game.
hmm
Um, and we normally don't get many of these in the anime industry. You don't really get post-launch um, video game adaptations. You typically get simultaneous,
Multimedia project. Yeah,
yeah, like
multimedia
multimedia
project.
things,
Yes, yes, yes.
promotional stuff. It's very rare that you'll get an anime for a game that is launched.
Mhm.
Like, fucking God, what's like 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is an A1 Pictures production.
Yes. Obviously, they also have the Squeenix money, so they've hired
Yeah,
some other
they've got Square
subcontractors
Enix
as well.
money.
Yes.
A lot of subcontractors.
Yes.
Directed by Ryoji Masuyama, who is primarily an animator from his career. Recently, in terms of direction, he did Great
He seems to
Pretender.
be he seems to be an old like Gainax A1
Yeah,
kind of
he's an
person,
old
right?
Gainax guy.
Yeah.
He directed, he was assistant director on Great Pretender. He was director on Blend S. But really,
Okay.
outside of that, I mean, he was key animator on Gurren Lagann, the Evangelion movies. I believe he helped on Mahoratic, Penny and Stocking.
Okay.
Gainax
Oh,
stuff, right?
wow,
Right,
this is a good pedigree.
Yeah, he is primarily an animator. I believe he's contracted like for Trigger stuff as well, here and there.
Mhm.
But yeah, but he's director and series composition. As for the rest of the staff, I mean, a lot of it's kind of just like, I mean, they're good talent. Obviously you have Kishi Okabe for music because they're reusing the video game music. Because why the fuck wouldn't you? It's generally one of the best scores like released for a video game. And then of course you have Yoko Taro, who's the original creator. Who's also doing series composition. He's overseeing this. But yeah, it is. Unfortunately, this series has recently, like I think 2 weeks ago, got hit with an indefinite delay on its production. There are currently only 3 episodes out. The 4th episode was delayed due to COVID. And when
Did they
COVID
get
breaks
better?
out in an anime studio, it's not like you could just go back to work after a couple of days, right? So pretty much everybody has to quarantine, I'm sure. So hopefully it picks back up again soon. But I think there's enough to cover here to really talk about it. But yeah, I guess I'll just start off with it. The basic plot premise, or at least premise that's given to you initially, is that the year is like 5,000 something, and humanity in the past was attacked by aliens. They were invaded by aliens, and the aliens used robots to basically wipe out humanity. And then humanity retreated to the moon and built basically super combat androids. And they've been in a war ever since. And then that's basically your initial setup.
You know what kind of upsets me? The way that the premise is described kind of reminds me of the premise of Black Rock Shooter Dawnfall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so this is a Yoko Taro story.
Yes.
And the original game, Nier Automata, has been heavily praised as
Yes.
one of the better takes on, I guess a more philosophical story in a video game. Deals with a lot of themes, primarily the one you see most people harp on is the humanist story of Nier Automata and sort of like what it means to be human, what is a human, stuff like that. There's a lot of nihilist themes, and sort of like how do you deal with essentially the inevitable like end of everything, stuff like that. And it deals with it in very interesting ways, very good ways, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not perfect, but as for the anime,
Is the anime an actual just run through of one of the routes? It is a truncation of like the core kind of
so
story. What is it?
so the issue is when you're dealing with Yoko Taro, right? Yoko Taro,
With your
yeah, Yoko
Okay,
Taro
interesting way
is
to put it.
famously on record saying he does not like doing the same thing twice. He never wants to do the same thing twice ever in his career, right?
Yes.
So there are changed story elements here. There are new story elements here. There are new characters, which is a very
Okay.
dangerous road to take.
Especially
For
since he hasn't worked in with an anime format before, as far as I can
yeah,
remember, right?
yeah, I mean, Yoko Taro has done, like, if you can think of a form of media, Yoko
Mhm.
Taro's probably done it.
Mhm.
I believe anime. I believe this is his first foray into anime.
Right.
But yeah, Yoko Taro he's written novels, he's directed video
Okay.
games, he's written stage plays. You know, like you name it.
What's your favorite
he's
Yoko
done fucking
Taro
puppet
work?
shows. I mean, for me, it's the original Nier is my favorite.
Which one,
He's
Gestalt
put out.
or the one with the old man? Is
I
that
mean,
the one with
both
the
are
old man?
good. I believe the one with Old Man is Gestalt,
All right.
and the one with the young brother is Replicant. But yeah, the original Nier is my favorite, obviously. With Dragon Guard 3 being a close second. But yeah. As for this anime, with episode 1, it's a very straight, just retelling of sort of like the
A one-for-one?
tutorial level of the video game.
Okay.
And
I
episode
heard it even has
1,
the same shots.
yeah, it does. It does sort of the same lines. It recreates a lot of the same shots. But it's not good. Episode 1 is bad. Episode 1 is really bad, actually.
What do you mean
Um,
by bad? Bad in what
it's
way?
fucking bad. So
Like audio visually?
yeah.
Okay.
So episode 1 has probably
Well,
some of the
compared to
worst,
the
CG I've ever seen
compared to the
in
game, yeah,
Ooh.
an
I would say
anime.
that.
Oh, I saw some of
Like,
those shots actually. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
So
Who took control of the A1 Pictures themselves took control of the
as far as I'm aware, A1 Pictures is doing the 3D
Mm.
CG. It's not good. It's
Mm.
pretty bad throughout. It's especially bad in episode 1 because there's a lot of it. And it's very baffling. I don't really know who sort of okayed that. Like, I'm not really sure if it was a time thing or
The
what.
only other times that they did CG stuff, like in their entire history as A1 Pictures, as far as I can tell, is Ace Attorney Season 2,
Which was
Promised
really bad.
Neverland, both seasons, and a little bit of I think Albuta, Rascal Does Not Dream of Dreaming, Rascal Does Not, the Bunny Girl
I
Senpai
don't even
movie or whatever it
remember
is,
there being
which
CG
wasn't
in that.
very good either. Yeah, and I
But
think
yeah.
Psych kind of a movie for that. But yeah, Promised Neverland and Ace Attorney was literally the only time that they've done it in their entire history. I think pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, they might have done. Oh, they did 20. They did a little bit of. Oh right, they did do El No Zero stuff. I forgot. Fuck, bruh.
Well,
Yeah,
this
wait,
is
no, wait. They have had a little bit of experience, but they've never really been that like. None of their stuff has been really that. How do I say this? Like good?
yeah.
Exactly. None of the good except for
I mean,
May.
I think Alno was okay,
But the reason why Alno
but
was okay was because they did
was
CG
like,
for Mecha. Mech.
yeah, it's mecha CG, and also like pretty much all of Alnoa's like Alnoa's entire aesthetic is like the sunset, like the mech in the
Yeah,
sunset
yeah.
kind of thing. So that really
Yeah.
just elevates
More
the
like against the huge background. It's not a
yeah,
lot of like super fast action scenes. It's not like a Gundam kind of thing, but
yeah,
it's more just like, oh, we have this mech slowly walking across the bridge or whatever it is.
yeah. But yeah, yeah, I'd say episode 1 looks worse. Like the CG in episode 1 honestly looks worse than like Reboot. Like straight up. Like
Uh-oh.
it's bad. It's really fucking bad. The models they use are worse, just way worse than what they could have done. Like if they literally just ripped the fucking video game models, like it would have looked better. straight up. It's really bad. So yeah, you could just straight up skip episode 1 of this series, in my opinion. You're really not
Mhm.
missing anything at all. Episode 2, however, starts very distinctly. It breaks off from the video game. It starts following. It actually sort of has the perspective of one of the machine life forms, which are like one of the enemies. And
Oh, okay.
sort of him evolving, and going beyond like just being a machine of war and sort of discovering knowledge, and specifically knowledge about flowers. And he essentially becomes a gardener. And it's sort of throughout the episode, it sort of has this story of him, evolving and giving up on fighting, and sort of just cultivating this big field of flowers. But regardless of his efforts, he still gets carpet bombed anyway, right?
Is this just a small not like a mini episode, but like a small episode that is isolated within the bigger anime? Like you had just this one episode, and then the next is
It's
just
sort
gonna
of
go into.
it's sort of just a small arc throughout the episode. It's not like the focus of the episode.
Oh, it's like a side kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's sort
Like
of
a
just like
side perspective,
yeah.
separate perspective. Yeah.
But yeah, and then
Okay.
episode 2 introduces you to one of the anime original characters, Lily, who was not in the video
Mhm.
game. However, Lily was in some of the stage plays, the early stage plays, um, which go over like very early on, like the sort of war, I guess. Um, the what they call in universe the fucking Pearl Harbor incident, of Nier Automata, and sort of like the initial android attack. Um, but yeah, in the game, Lily is supposed to be fucking dead. Um,
Mhm.
but in the anime, Lily is sort of like she's the leader of the resistance on Earth, and she obviously has history with Yorha, which is heavily hinted. And we also get to see Devila and Popola much earlier on than we do in the game.
Okay.
So we get a bit of lore there. A lot of the stuff in the anime is sort of expanding on what someone who has played the game might already know, but sort of changing it up a little bit. Giving hints here and there. So yeah, I think this, like overall, it's really hard to say like, because like there's no way. I really can't recommend this to somebody
How many
who.
how many episodes is this? How many episodes is this? Can I first ask
So
that?
I don't think there's a solid number that I could find. I would have to assume. Like,
As
I'd have
of
to
right
assume.
now, 4.
How
Yeah, because there
well,
was
I
really
meant I
we're
meant
really not
like
very
how
far with
Yeah, if they have
because
to go through a
there's
whole
3
thing,
episodes
it
now.
has to be
Um
24.
so if they're going through the entire Route A, which is what I would imagine they would do, um or
Considering it's 1.1a, I'm
yeah,
guessing
I imagine
that's what
they're
it
gonna
means. Like
do
this is
do a
like
slight
a
variance. Yeah, a slight variance
on
on Route
A.
A. Um
so
I would assume
my
it's a
my
24 episode, maybe 22, 23, something like that. But yeah.
so my follow-up question is I don't even want to ask how it's going to end because it's not a good question to ask right now, I think, with this series. But what do you think is going to be the format of this? Has the format of this series been determined? Is this because I don't, from your description, again, I could be completely stupid. I could be very small brained. I'm just not very clear on what sort of story, what sort of formatting, what sort of perspective it really wants to tell. Especially since, like, it would be one thing if Yokotaro would just grit his teeth and then Nier Automata was just a playthrough of some route, right? Um, but he wants to do something unique. So I don't know what is the format going forward for this series. I don't really
So
understand.
the way I see it is it's going to be
Uh-huh.
largely a retelling of the video game, right? Obviously, there's
Okay.
going to be the new characters. There's going to be new scenes. The main difference I see happening is
Mhm.
when A2 shows up, right?
Okay.
Which obviously hasn't happened yet. Because it's very clear that this character, the new anime character, Lily has a very clear history with A2. Whether that's a good history or a bad history remains to be seen. I'm assuming it's not good because when Lily first sees 2B, she thinks that 2B is A2 and she points her fucking gun at her. So I'm gonna
Okay.
assume it's probably not a good history, but I'm imagining that's where the story is probably going to diverge a little bit more. Other than that, I imagine it's going to be a fairly straight shot outside of like expanding upon um, some minor side stories here and there. Um, maybe again giving more perspective to the machine life forms and them evolving, them sort of
Yeah.
developing emotions. Because
I would
again,
be shocked if there isn't a longer section with Pascal,
yeah,
like from their perspective too.
yeah. So I think a lot of it is going to be pretty straight adaptation, but sort of just an expansion upon the source material, right? Um, they've sort of already done that in the past with so there's a novelization of the game as well called I believe Short Story Long, um, which does delve into more of the side characters and stuff like that. But I imagine this is going to be a bit of a similar scenario, just with some anime original stuff thrown in, hence the 1.1. Um,
Do you think
but
it can be paced properly within a 24 episode season?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're only doing round
Route
and out, maybe.
A, so Route A is not very long. In terms of like story beats. Um,
Okay.
there's a few key like story moments. You get it's very like beginning, middle, and end kind of story. With lay sad ending. Whether that changes or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, they could definitely pace this out
Mhm.
within 24 episodes. Honestly, I feel like they could do maybe a bit less, maybe something weird like 18 or 19. I don't know, but I imagine it's probably going to be 24. I really, if they do a 12, I don't see it working very well. They're going to have to rush and truncate really hard, which I think won't work very well with the way that they're obviously approaching this. Um, but yeah, unless they do a second core or something, I don't know. But
Mm.
yeah. Um, but yeah, back to what I was originally saying is like in terms of what audience this is for, um, I don't think this is for people who haven't played the game at all, like at all.
Oh, it's
Uh,
another sort of okay. It's something for the fans.
yeah, absolutely. I think if you haven't played the game, um, or like I don't know, watched a synopsis or something like fucking people do, um, which you should really play.
Dude, the
But
story is so confusing though.
yeah. But yeah, I think if you haven't
Where's
played the game,
what?
you're really doing yourself a disservice by watching this because like they're dropping so many hints. There's so many like, little Easter eggs and stuff here and there. I mean, hell, there's like in episode 3, right? There's so in Nier Automata, when you go to the desert area, right? There's
Mhm.
the enemies, right? The machine life forms, there's the little round dudes, right? The ones in the desert area have robes and like masks on, right?
Mhm.
Um, and this is an obvious reference to the first game, Nier, where when you go to the desert area in Nier, there's this like desert kingdom, and everyone there wears masks, because they're like a society that's obsessed with like making rules, and one of the rules is to like never show your face or whatever. Um,
Right.
And so that's that's just sort of an obvious reference. And in the game, that's really about as far as it goes, right? They make some allusions to, oh, they're imitating like a previous civilization, right? And that's where it begins and ends. But in the anime, 9S hacks into one of the robots and
Oh, okay.
literally sees the memories of that kingdom. Like it just straight up shows the original kingdom from the first game. So like there's a lot more for the fans than like what's even in the game, you know. So this is really not for people that are just like, oh gee, what's this Nier Automata thing I've been hearing so much about? I'm gonna check out this show because I don't have time for the game or something. Like that's not the audience for this, I think. This is definitely for fans, which I think is, I guess, subtly alluded to by the the title of the 1.1. But again, like Yoko Taro has done that a lot, right? Like the DLC for Nier Automata was literally just like a bunch of fucking numbers. The remake for the original Nier is literally, what is this, like version 1.22474487139? Yeah.
Yes.
So like he's done that in the past. So
Can I
I wouldn't
also
really blame anyone for just ignoring that, but yeah.
can I ask so obviously you're not like an esper or whatever, but do you think the way that this Nier series is made much more for the fans and those people who have kind of gone through the story already, do you think that was by Yoko Taro's design or intention, or do you think that was mainly the production people pushing for that sort of stuff?
I mean, I think I think a lot of the expanded scenes, the more like the uh more expanded upon references and stuff, and a lot of the hints and early lore, I think probably a decent amount of that is, Yoko Taro sort of reaching in and be like, hey, we're gonna do this actually, and the staff sort of just being like, all right, sure. But as for like the overall, um, like it being, I guess, less newcomer friendly, I'm not sure. I feel like that might be a fault of just the general direction. Um, Maybe it's just a lack of being able to balance some of the new stuff with sort of catching the viewer up with what's going on
Mhm,
in terms of world building and lore and you know character motivation of what they're doing, stuff like that. Because
mhm.
with a lot of video game adaptations, right, it's sort of hard to take a video game character, like especially a main character who's sort of just especially a character like 2B, right, where she's kind of just like I mean, she's the like go-to Ishikawa Yui character, right? Where she's like stoic, she doesn't talk very much. Really, all she does is fight stuff.
Right, right,
She's
right.
point A to point B type character, right? It's sort of
Mhm.
tricky to translate that from a video game where that's pretty standard, right? It's obviously like
Yeah,
this is the
because
character
most
I'm
of a lot of
controlling.
it,
I'm gonna go
yeah,
from A to B. I'm gonna fight stuff, right? And then this
yeah.
cast around me is sort of gonna,
Mhm,
you know, um, bounce off of the main character, right? It's hard to go from that in a video game to sort of translating that to a a movie or an anime or
yeah,
a
because in
show,
the
right?
game, because in a game having a lot of silent expanded time where literally all you're doing is walking around and maybe doing stuff occasionally is perfectly fine in a video game. But that's not fine at all in an anime or a movie. You can't just spend 10 minutes walking around places.
Yeah.
You have to do
Well,
something. You have to do a
it
lot of
also
things.
has it also has another, layer of, or not layer, but another like assistance almost in character motivation where it's like, you don't really need to explain the character motivation in the beginning of Nier Automata behind you dodging bullets and shooting things.
Yeah.
Whereas when
Mhm.
you're not the one doing that, you're asking the question of like, okay, well, why is this happening?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Like why are the characters doing this, outside of they've been told to. But yeah, um I do think, obviously it's not easy to do that, but I do think that this show sort of hasn't succeeded in sort of making that like bridging that gap. It is still very much like as you're watching it, it is very much like, oh, I remember doing this in the game. You know what I mean? It's not so much like, oh, like it's this part of the story. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's very much sort of the characters revisiting like, you know, places that you went to in the game, and the anime very clearly being like, remember this area? It's like, yeah, I do remember this area. Um, so like in terms of fan service, I think this show is quite good.
Would you have liked to have seen it be a little bit more for the general audience, or what do you think about
No,
it? That's
get them out of
I think the
here.
problem with it being more for the general audience, it would be this would have to be like a 50 episode series.
Okay.
Is Yoko Taro's works aren't for the general audience. You have to have a high IQ to understand Nier
Yeah,
Automata.
for sure, bro.
Also, speaking of fan service, did they do this? Is there any self-destruct yet?
No, not yet.
Oh,
But
you
there's
have to
plenty of
do that.
there's plenty of upskirts so far.
Good.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure if like again, obviously it being more for the general audience would be a much smarter decision. Um, that's obviously how you make a more successful product. Um, in terms of whether I think it would have made for a better like story or a better viewing experience, I'm not too sure. Again, like making the sort of video gamey feel go away in a video game adaptation for an anime is very tricky, especially when you're dealing with a character like 2B. And it's hard to, because 2B, like as simple as she is on the surface, like there is, once you've gone through the story and you sort of know um, what her real motivations are, like what her, like, like her real purpose is, um,
Mhm.
it's very easy. It's obviously a lot easier to pick up on why she, behaves the way she does, why she says the things she says to certain characters. Um, and I don't really think there's any way to sort of subtly hint at that, um, while like changing any of the dialogue. You know what I mean? I think Tubi sort of has to be
Right.
the way she is for her character to work, for the twist at the end to work. And like, yeah, I really don't. It's very hard for me to sort of think of a way that you could make this more for a general audience outside of like completely shifting this perspective to 9S, who's a much more chatty character,
This
um,
kind of
who
actually
who has
reminds me.
who has much more introspection. Um,
Yeah.
but we do still see some of that in this anime. It's just it is largely from the perspective of 2B, right? So
Yeah. You know what this actually reminds me of? A very similar conversation that we had just recently, which was Witch of Mercury, right? Because we were talking about how Witch of Mercury was definitely a little bit distanced from the standard, especially the universe timeline, the standard, setup of the Gundam lore and the Gundam stories that we usually see, right? So it wasn't like necessarily a good description of it, or just good descriptor or good generalization. It couldn't The stuff that you see in Witch of Mercury couldn't necessarily be super generalized well to what you see in the general
yeah,
Gundam franchise with the series.
No, not anymore,
But
buddy.
that was
It's
but
fine. You want to talk Witcher Mercury? Well, I got some spicy things to say about that later. Don't worry.
well, let me finish the analogy here. But the point was that it was done so to make it more palatable, quote unquote, to the general audience. So it did take that sort of road less traveled. Whereas Nier sort of stuck to its guns and said, no, this is going to be for the people who know Nier. And especially since if we don't make it for the people who uh, know Nier and we try to make it for everybody, then a lot of these character stories and interactions are going to end up veering off from what they originally were, right?
Yeah.
So those are the sort of the two contrasts that I see in these
Yeah, it's
discussions.
definitely I imagine it was a real tug of war. I'm sure production um probably squabbled and stuff, but I do respect the series for sort of sticking to its guns, just sort of uh attempting to give the fans, what they want, or at least what they assume that the fans want. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it's really hard to say whether it will, pay off in the end, whether it will be um like whether it will stand on its own, right?
Right.
Because a lot of the times when you do a video game adaptation, um, it's either very unique, right? Like it's a completely anime original story, like something, say, God Eater, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you always run into the issue where it being unique typically means the fans aren't, they don't really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the fans just
Because
want their stuff.
yeah, because the fans are, in terms of like again taking God Eater into example, when the fans hear a God Eater anime, they want to see the story of the game that they like to be
Yeah, exactly.
animated, right? But
Exactly.
then, when you have a video game story sort of trying to be adapted, there's a lot of struggles there, and there's a lot of things that you have to cut out. There's a lot of things you have to truncate, um, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So typically, you make you take some of the characters, and you make a new story. But then it's like, well, with the fans, it's like, well, do I care? Because this obviously isn't canon, right? Like when you're taking characters from a game and then putting them into a story that just didn't happen from the game.
Right,
Like
right.
it's not even like it's not even happening, it's not even
Inevitably, also
relevant.
because the story is the characters are the characters
Yeah,
to a very integral extent. You can't really in a story you can't really separate the story from the characters because that is what forms the reader's perception of said characters,
yeah. The
right?
the characters sort of develop with the story, and so when you take those characters and put them into another different story, are they really the same characters? Or are they just
Right,
people?
exactly,
Or are they
exactly.
just people wearing the faces of those characters, right?
Right.
But yeah, I do respect this to sort of stick to it. Obviously, it's got some quirks to it. Uh,
Mhm.
it's got some blemishes, I'd say. Um, hopefully, after the delay, um, everyone can come back to the production. Sort of, I don't know, maybe touch up on some of those models. Maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
but I will say like the 2D animation is pretty good. It's fairly solid.
Okay. At least that's
And
good.
obviously, they're reusing a lot of the music from the game, which is again just a
You better.
fantastic score. Um,
I mean, if you have the license to license the
yeah,
anime,
there
why
there are
you
there are
have
a
the
couple
license for
original
them?
tracks here and there which are pretty solid. But again, it is largely reused, which you could knock points for doing that.
Why?
But I think you'd be stupid.
Most
I think you'd be
most
stupid
times,
not to. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's sort
most
of like
times when they
it's like
did
making
like
a Star Wars game and not using the original Star Wars score. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you have access to some of the greatest music of all time. You're gonna use it. You know what I mean?
I feel
Um,
like
I think
otherwise you're just gonna wind up making a similar score anyway that's not the
yeah,
same. So it's like, why bother?
yeah,
Just
I, yeah, I think at some point obviously you have to like add in a little bit, a little, but like how, successive series of games do, right? In a franchise, but
yeah,
beyond that, you have to Freebird is a meme for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never heard of Freeboard. Is it like a Darude Sandstorm?
Yes.
Yes. But yeah,
Um.
anyways.
But yeah. Other than that, OP.
Yeah, how do you
By
feel about the
Aimer.
OP Nier?
I mean, Aimer. The song is good. I like the song quite a bit. The visuals. I mean, they're interesting. They're
weird,
unique.
but I get it.
I appreciate the idea. I think the execution's a little bit off. I think it gets a little bit old. The further
Yeah,
it
it's
goes
like
on, I do
it's like too
kind of
long.
wish they sort of developed the initial concept into something more with the OP. But otherwise, it's
Nier isn't an allegory towards crumbling civilization because you notice it's all in one color.
I mean, I think it's just stylistic choice, but yeah. The ED is by Amazurashi, who's
Okay.
a very cool band. I like Amazurashi. They back when Nier Automata was first launching, Amazurashi did a like a Nier Automata music video like collab thing. So I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
sure Yoko Taro is just a big fan of Amazurashi. So it's nice to see them come back
Which is
for that.
not, yeah.
Um,
Which is a good thing.
yeah. But overall, again, I really think this is for the fans. I can't recommend this to somebody who like hasn't played Nier Automata.
Mhm.
So if you haven't played Nier Automata, I would highly recommend it. It's a good game. I have my complaints about it, but like in terms of storytelling, like it's phenomenal, right?
Right.
It's very good.
Who's your favorite character in Nier?
Pascal probably, but yeah. Overall, I think it's a promising start. Again, we only have the first 3 episodes, but the first 3 episodes, outside of the first episode, which was bad, the initial look into what they're trying to do looks promising. I'm excited to see more. So
Mhm.
hopefully it pans out. Hopefully they don't, I don't know, cut it short for no reason at all. Hopefully it gets enough episodes to fully develop. But yeah, if you are a fan, there's really no reason not to check it out. So yeah.
Think we'll see the
Alright.
aliens up and about?
Moving? No,
Yeah,
I
think
doubt
we'll
that.
get to
I
see a
highly doubt
flashback
that.
of
But
them. Damn.
A
Nier,
flashback? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe. I think Emil, if Emil shows up, I think you might see a flashback. But
do
yeah.
you think we'll
Oh,
get
dude,
ending H?
more like a thing of Emil's, like the what would you call that? Like time frame between
Yeah.
would be.
I mean, Emil, that time
seeing
frame
that
does have.
animated would be really
Yeah,
cool.
it does have a full novel. If people are interested. I
Hold
believe
on,
it's
which
been
ending is the
translated.
one where she eats food? I like that ending.
I forget the one where she eats the fish.
Yeah, I like that ending.
Dies.
They
Yeah.
should include it.
I
Wow,
mean,
spoilers.
so one thing I do really like, just final note, at the end of every episode, there's a little puppet show that they do with real puppets.
Oh, okay, that's cute.
I
Yeah,
bet Yoko Taro
and
made those puppets himself.
very likely either Yoko Taro or his wife. I think his wife does puppets and stuff as well. But yeah, they do like a puppet show with 2B and 9S, and they sort of go over some of the lore. And then at the end, they make reference to one of Nier Automata's 24 endings. Because Nier Automata has a lot of endings. A lot of them are joke endings where the game just literally instantly ends. And it
24 endings, 24 episodes confirmed.
yeah. But yeah, it is very cute. It's very unique. But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
What's your
Nier,
score out of
for
10? What's your IGN score?
For what we have right now, I'd give it a 7. maybe 7, 7.5, something like that. I'd say 7, solid 7.
So higher than a God Hand. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we do need to move on. Thank you, Nier, for helping to cover Nier Automata. And with that, I guess we'll just move on to the news here then. Uh, just going straight over real quick. A little bit more news on the not recent, but a couple months back, there was a fuss over the I think the Tokyo Olympics, right? The Tokyo Olympics, there was reports of bribery, suspecting of bribery.
Oh, right.
The head of Kadokawa, right?
Yeah.
Kadokawa Publishing, were indicted for paying, to former Olympic Committee members for setting up some, different deals. For game sponsorship, for sponsorship of the games, right? Having their name kind of tattooed
Yep.
over it, and then that there was fallout later to other related companies, and this is a little bit more of that. Dentsu, another company, was the officials there were admitted to rigging bids for Tokyo Olympics contracts and stuff like that. So I think there might be another company on the line as well, but I forget. But yeah, Dentsu, chairman of Kadokawa, some other people are all involved with it. Obviously, very serious stuff. So
It's
we'll have to see.
FF14 all over again, man.
Yeah. There's another news that's a little bit more, I guess, anime adjacent, but Hasbro announced on Thursday that it is planning a 15% reduction of its global workforce. The company will cut approximately 1,000 positions this year, beginning in the next several weeks. So again, I think the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I do think that, especially in this global pandemic and coming out of supply chain disruptions, as well as future innovations to novelty and entertainment, especially within the anime industry, where there's much less creation of physical goods and much more digitalization and mainstream streaming, right? There's much more electronic stuff that's being awarded and used and owned rather than rather than physical goods, which are not only being relegated to novelty goods, but even within the novelty goods section, there's just less and less of that stuff being made, really, as a consistent specialty. So I think this only hints to even more of that happening. So we'll have to see how that, uh, industries such as the anime figurine industry will pan out in the near future again with supply chain issues and so on.
Why, you know the reason why. It's not anime.
Uh,
It's the OGL. Hasbro,
uh,
Wizards of the Coast is a subsidiary of Hasbro, my dude.
Well, but yeah, I mean we'll see if it does translate or not into the anime version, regardless of the OGL D&D scandal in relation to Hasbro stuff. But either way, the next one quickly, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced that the nomination for the 95th Academy Awards on Tuesday. However, there were no anime films nominated for the 95th Oscars. I want to say this is sort of an unfortunate thing where I don't necessarily think that this is just going to be the future of anime, but obviously this year, along with a decent number of other years recently, there have been much more. How do I say this? There have been many more movies that were or anime movies that have been made along the lines of just extending a franchise. So something like Utano Prince Sama, right? Or Free, or whatever. Like, I don't know, something like a Precure, although a Precure hasn't had a movie, but like, what is it? There's a lot of what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of it's not necessarily that I'm supporting Makoto Shinkai doing like like Suzume or whatever it is, but I just wish that there were less series that were just like Yuta Camp movie or Jewel Pet movie or Fruits Basket movie. I just wish there were more original movies that were made because I think movies present an opportunity in another medium to really present the culture of Japanese animation, and it shouldn't just be, Crayon Shinchan movie number 50 or Detective Conan movie number 70 or Doraemon movie number 80, which is like okay to have on the side, but those should not be the bulk of the anime movies that we see year to year. So, anyways,
Well, I'm
unfortunate.
satisfied. I got 4 Nanoha movies. I'm waiting for a 5th. Even if it's
I
gonna be
mean, to be
Strikers, I'll
honest,
watch it.
though, like even when we do get like really interesting, like unique stuff, like say, Bell, right, or Inuo or something, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
A lot of these Western awards,
that
they
is also
they
true.
just
They
don't really
don't
care,
necessarily like.
they don't really
Yeah,
give a
yeah, yeah.
shit.
That is also
And
true though.
obviously,
Unless it's like a
uh,
Makoto Shinkai movie that just
yeah,
explodes or
unless
whatever.
it's like Makoto Shinkai or a new Ghibli movie or some fucking stupid shit,
Yeah, that
right?
is also true.
Um, and again, obviously that comes just from a huge fact that, you know, awards like the Oscars have a very heavy Western bias to them, right? Like they're not really, you know, it's not exactly every year where um, they actually recognize, um, international films very often, right? Like what was the last time an international film actually got real recognition? Parasite, like
Mhm.
that's about it, right? So
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Um, Next piece, One Piece film Red tops House Moving Castle as number 4 all-time anime film globally, number 5 in Japan.
Good.
Obviously, a lot of money by for from One Piece. Attack on Titan, Isayama Hachime, I believe the artist behind or creator behind Attack on Titan, receives Angudem's special 50th edition award for the 50th Angudem International Comics Festival. So, yeah, it launched in 1974 as an event celebrating comics from countries around the world. And again, 50th edition award goes to Isayama Hachime. Please, I guess, congratulations on his awards.
congrats on that garbage ending, bro.
Japan will aim to lift limits on event capacity on May 8th for COVID, and they will aim to downgrade COVID-19 to the same category of diseases as seasonal influenza. So we'll see how that goes. Again,
Probably
Japan has
worry,
not
not
been the
Spire.
great, not been the greatest in handling the COVID crisis, but again,
Don't worry, Spire. They already downgraded it where you can now shout and cheer during live venues. If you would know that if you watch Suisei's second solo live shout in Crisis, because that happened just days before it came out. So I was like, damn, they know.
No, I saw tweets that were not related to Suicide that made that I realized
I can't
where
believe there's a
coming from.
Hoshiyomi on the board.
But yeah. What is it? Next on the list, some award stuff. The 5 total Kickstarter campaigns for the collaboration anime between 5 anime studios and Jetro, also known as the Japan External Trade Organization, launched earlier this month. All 5 campaigns end on February 13th. Blah blah. So the goal for the project is to complete a roughly 45-minute film telling the story of the Heike epic. So these are 5 different small like anime studios that are again collaborating with Jetro to create this anime and probably getting paid for it. And but they're also being funded by Kickstarter, which is like you guys could cough up money to pay the anime studios. That would be cool.
No, no.
Oh, okay. And Shueisha also announced on Wednesday that Million Tag reality show winner Fujita Naoki's Beat and Motion manga will launch on the Shonen Jump Plus website and app on February 25th. So, Fujita is the winner of Shonen Jump Plus's battle, quote unquote, battle audition show, Million Tag, which I believe aired in 2021, where 6 teams, each with a prospective manga creator and a Shueisha manga editor, competed in 4 challenges. Fujita's partner manga editor from Shueisha was Shihei Rin, who was the editor of Chainsaw Man and Spy Family. What the fuck? That seems
That's
unfair.
kind of unfair.
Aside from getting his manga serialized on Shonen Jump Plus, Fujita also won 5 million yen, which is around 45,000 US dollars at that time, a compiled book volume of his manga, and an anime adaptation that was streamed globally and exclusively on Netflix. Which is like, okay, this is what it keeps saying, right? It's so frustrating. And this is along the lines of, I know I'm like going into another rant of this, but it's just so frustrating to see Japan and like other publishers and just the anime industry just completely ignoring the issue at hand. And even when, the Western audience is slowly coming to realize what, we in the podcast realized literally decades ago, right? Um, but it's just so frustrating to see the companies celebrating individual artists, which is fine, but only individual artists and only like all these like small competitions that award one artist for making a good manga, or uh, even if it's for these studios, just having these small Kickstarters, being like, "Wow, they'll make something cool, so please give us money," instead of you know creating like maybe instead of the Tokyo government giving money to one artist, maybe they could give monies and subsidies to many artists and many entry artists, and maybe they could create regulation that doesn't involve. They could create laws and regulations so that the anime production committees don't butt fuck the studios, and the studios have more contract money to give the anime artists pay? Question mark. It's just so
Sounds like
frustrating.
socialism to me.
Oh, I apologize. It's just again, it's just so frustrating that for so many years we've been having these manga artist competitions, or let's grow entry level artists. Let's subsidize their education when none of that is the issue. None of that is the issue. No budding artist wants to stay in the industry, or no budding artist is going to prevent himself from getting burned out if the industry is just day in day out grueling work all day for like $4 a page of work, and just all about the anime industry just screwing you over and over and over again, and you and all the other artists who are working just pouring blood, sweat, and tears into just creating these anime series, and it's just so and manga as well. And it's just so frustrating to see, honestly. So, anyways, that was my another mini rant about this stuff, but. So that was again, congratulations to Fuchita Naoki. Hopefully, we'll be able to see his Beaten Motion manga in animation soon.
Yeah, hopefully Shonen Jump doesn't just randomly cancel this series like fucking
20 chapters in, whoop,
yeah.
goodbye. Some cute stuff. Manga Planet India, which was, I believe, they are a manga subscription service that launched in November 2019 and offers subscribers access to English translated manga. So, Manga Planet India is offering free manga to participants of the Manga Shakti project. So, um, the Manga Shakti project is a research project related to Japanese manga social challenges in India. So I guess it's working with JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, as well as again the Manga Planet India people, to kind of do like a weird social experiment with manga question mark, and like see if giving people free literacy with manga is helpful, which it is, but that's also like a very weird way to go about it.
You want
Yeah.
Like,
free
I
literacy,
don't.
Spire? Aren't you
I
the
mean,
one
it's
who
good.
hates? Aren't you the one that hates localization? They won't understand
Cool.
Japanese terms.
That is true. The literacy means nothing if they think that the burger is a jelly donut or whatever the fucking translation was.
Do you think the Japanese understand what straight bussin' means?
Straight bussin'. Or sus. um, but yeah. So I think it's a good project. It's a slightly weird way of going about it. Last piece of news, or actually second to last piece of news. Japan's publishing market actually sees its first overall sales decrease in 4 years, which is of zero surprise to anybody that has been anywhere close to listening into news about the anime industry forever. But anyways, the All Japan Magazine and Book Publishers and Editors Association, also known as AJP, AJPEA, AJP, I guess, revealed on Wednesday its report on the publishing industry in Japan in 2022. The publishing market as a whole declined 2.6% in 2022 to a total market value of 1.6305 trillion yen, or about 12.59 billion US dollars. The digital market rose 7.5. Yeah, I mean, like literally every other day, we hear news about another magazine publisher from one of the four major publishers just shutting down their print publishing and moving on to digital editions or just shutting down completely. So it's zero surprise that this publishing market, the overall market, has decreased. I don't know what else to say, and it's just going to be the same. Again, along similar with what we just mentioned about potentially figurine stuff decreasing as well. I think I don't know what'll be the natural conclusion of it. I don't know whether it'll reach this natural equilibrium where figurines and physical novelty goods and physical magazines will take a very niche and proper place as just small novelty goods in a very small scale, or whether they'll be sort of exterminated mercilessly and replaced with a set of maybe more digital goods that people will want to pay for or whatever. Cough cough NFTs. But I don't know.
Nah,
The thing is, NFTs are still hugely popular in Japan. That's the issue.
for
It's
whatever
like
reason.
so they might still end up pushing it, um, but yeah, I don't know how interested necessarily I am at seeing the logical conclusion of this. I'm a little bit scared, but it is
I
it
mean,
is a
we've seen. I feel like we've basically seen the logical conclusion, right, in the West
what do you mean?
with comics, right? Like physical
Mm.
media will always exist, obviously, right?
So you think it'll hit some sort of equilibrium where there'll be a smaller niche, and then
Yeah, more than
the rest of
likely.
it will be digital. Okay,
I mean, people like collecting physical goods. You know, people still
that
collect
is true.
Blu-rays. People still collect,
Mhm.
people still collect fucking cassettes for music. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't you mean
Mhm.
vinyls nowadays?
yeah, people will collect vinyls. Some people collect fucking Laserdisc. Like physical media will always have a market. Whether it remains as some sort of even 50-50 or whether it does become a niche market, I think will depend on how the manga industry sort of wants to adapt itself. But yeah, I think further decreases are just like the writing's been on the wall for a very long time, right? Like again,
Mhm.
really, the manga industry really just all they really needed to look at was the comic book industry in the West, um, just to like know that like the wave is coming, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the march of digitalization, as well as all the other forces that we talked about before in this
Yeah,
podcast, such as the potential creation of the oligarchy or like set of super studios. In my opinion, that will definitely happen with the current trend, as well as the advance in technology. Yeah, all coming together in very interesting ways. Last piece of news,
You know what they
or
should do
last couple.
instead? They should
What?
release all manga in that e-reader book style format. Remember that giant Naruto e-reader book?
oh.
Ah, yeah.
They do it for every manga imaginable.
Mhm. Okay. So next, or sorry, just a couple of like funny little things related to like small like individual bands or series. First, Rad Wimps, rock band Rad Wimps, famous for their work on various Makoto Shinkai series such as
You mean that one song sung by Okami Mio? Yeah, I know that, Brad Wimps.
Makoto Shinkai's Your Name film, as well as Suzume no Tojimari anime film. They are doing a U.S. tour after their previous, or sorry, an NA tour, North American tour, as well as North American tour after their previous one was canceled due to COVID in 2020. So now they're starting it up again. So for those of you who interested, just I guess search for it, and it's in the various major cities. LA, New York City, Toronto, Mexico City, so on. So
Not gonna lie, I'm waiting for the auto concert. Just saying.
yeah, me too. Love Live
You,
School
you want
Idol
you want to go
Festival game.
together, Spire?
Oh, I'll think about it. Love Live School Idol Festival game shuts down after nearly 10 years. Blah, blah, blah. This is an actual gacha game that I played. God,
That's a long
and just
time
like
in gacha game.
yeah,
Uh,
it really shows you the staying power of Love Live. But yeah, it's dying now, or it's closing down now, and I'm gonna miss the memories from it. But someone only semi-fondly because I also spent money on that game, which is kind of sad. But you know, whatever. And the last piece of kind of funny news is I think I mentioned this a little bit before earlier in the podcast, but there's an Evangelion stage play apparently
Dude,
going on called Evangelion Beyond.
I
They
read about
the
this.
staff the staff revealed on Thursday that the stage play will tell an original story set on an Earth that is on the brink of ruin following a long period of unchecked development and strife. The Evangelion unit is piloted by 14-year-old children and operating under the supreme commander of the special agency, Meshi, are humanity's last hope to find a powerful new energy source. The Eva struggle against Ikimono, giant creatures that appear from underground. Kubota Mastaga, one of the play's lead actors, said in a comment that though the play changes the setting and characters, it maintains Evangelion themes of quote unquote divinity, humanity, conflict, aggression, destruction, and rebirth.
Those are
Yeah, we've
like the
got
most
crosses.
generic themes you can imagine. Like if you're talking, like dude,
Dude, that is
like if
Todd
this,
Howard
if what
talking
you
about Fallout 4. Like, what
like
are
if
your
what you
themes?
took,
Oh, androids and suspicion. Oh, okay.
yeah, if you watch Evangelion and you're like oh yeah, that was about conflict. Like you have soup in your head. Like there's nothing in there, dude. Like this is literally not even Evangelion. Like it's literally just a random mecha like stage play.
It's
Like
just like it could be anything.
they don't even they didn't have the
Anime
nerve.
straight stage play.
Like they didn't have the balls to be like they renamed Nerve, dude. Like
Really?
yeah, Special Agency Mensch? What the fuck is that,
Oh
dude? Like
right, that
oh,
is.
hey man, Asuka was German, was she not?
yeah,
This is the
but like
German branch, Nier. Don't worry about it.
it's still Nerve.
What's nerve in German?
Nerve.
Well, now it's Mensch.
But yeah, like
Are you planning on watching this? Is my question.
How do you watch a stage play? Those are hard to. You have to wait for like the DVDs and those.
yeah, they usually record them and sell them.
Yeah. If the DVDs come out, will you watch this, Nier?
Yeah, probably. I probably will. If this gets translated, but yeah, it's just like this is so crazy to me because it's like they're like yeah Evangelion stage play. We're not gonna have any of the characters, like not a single character from the original. We're not gonna have Nerve. We're not gonna have angels. Like
But it'll have all the themes, bro.
literally
all the
the
themes.
only thing they took is that it's teenagers piloting robots.
Nier, don't you remember? This is the aftermath of the Instrumentality Project.
Yeah, for sure,
It,
definitely.
it's
I'm
like
sure.
it-
I'm
it's
sure
like
it totally
they
plays into the grand scheme of the fucking Evangelion multiverse.
it's like the start will just be they'll just say like random Evangelion like buzzwords, and then it starts transitioning, and you suddenly start saying, "Wait a minute, this is the plot to Bokurado. What happened?" Like in the middle of it, it just transitions into a different set of kids filing mechas completely.
Yeah, I remember seeing this and just being like, huh? Like, this is not even Evangelion. It's so confusing.
Anyways. But yeah, so I guess that was the last piece of news, and going on to our shout outs and call outs. Everybody here gets one shout out and one call out. Shout out is one thing that you want to praise, give 5 out of 5. Any one person, place, or thing will do, and call out is the exact opposite, something that you want to insult, rant about, 0 out of 5, whatever. Very angry over, and again, it can be any one person, place, or thing. And we start with Dark.
Fucking shout out to Hi-Fi Rush, because that game is really, 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 really good. And only $30. So no reason not
I've
to pick it
heard
up.
I've heard it's almost as iconic as Metal Gear Rising in their boss fights. Is this true?
Kind of. I think as a whole package, this game is probably better than Metal Gear Rising, gonna be honest with you. Like, probably not even a hot take, because I don't particularly think a lot of Metal Gear Rising's like levels are particularly incredible or fun. But Hi-Fi Rush kind of keeps a lot of gimmicks going throughout the game that keeps you pretty engaged. So, good game. Good licensed soundtrack too. So, fun stuff. I guess for my call out, I'm gonna call out I guess I'll just call out AI in general. Just because of
Okay.
a few things. One, it's getting too good, too gosh darn good. That new vocal AI stuff is concerning. It's
Can you
fun,
believe
but it's concerning.
that and Seinfeld came out in the same week? Suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, I am a huge fan of Larry Feinberg, so I do very much enjoy watching Larry Feinberg. So that is a bonus. I guess at least we get to have fun with it. But yeah, I mean the discourse around a lot of that, the deep fake stuff that came up recently has been like
The deepfake
a
stuff
lot
is
of it
stupid,
just
honestly.
misses the fucking point of like
Oh man, that was the same week too. Oh man.
rich famous people being sad is not even the like tip of the iceberg. That's like a
Yeah.
dusting of snow compared to what the actual impact of this is going to be on like workers and just being fucking chewed up and spit out and thrown into fucking blenders and industries dying because of it. So, you know, enjoy enjoy your funny AI backgrounds in anime because of the quote unquote labor shortage.
Yeah, it's oh yeah, we fuck, we should have talked about that, right? What was there was that tweet of the
Yep.
anime
So, I mean,
yeah,
I
you
was
wanna
I
go?
was I was gonna call it out, but I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah, wait, okay, wait, yeah, you should wait for that.
yeah.
Dark, shout out. You already did shout out as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that was my call out.
yeah.
I think a lot of the
And
conversation
then
is centering around the completely like wrong shit because people are
yeah,
getting way too emotional about their faves and not realizing that, and not even just in the grand scheme of things, but in almost every scenario it's so fucking irrelevant that like
yes.
To
Absolutely.
end it is like, listen, if your fucking take on the deepfake shit that's been going around, especially right now, is like, and I mean like the specific scenario that anyone would know I'm referencing, is like, if your take is more than, damn, that sucks, sorry that happened to you, like, you're missing the entire point. Like, if you're like, we need to hyper focus on rich and famous people's feelings being hurt and persona being used without their consent, it's like, yeah, I mean, we could say, should it be illegal? Sure, but good luck enforcing it. And furthermore, like, I don't know, I would probably rather focus on the idea of like automation just deleting people from positions and putting more labor on people in other positions to like make up for that with like no actual benefit to a worker.
Yeah.
Dark. They were crying live on stream.
Yeah, also never do that. Literally never do that. If you stream yourself specifically to become emotional on stream, you're a fucking freak. You can become emotional on stream, but like when you hit start stream and you know you're getting into like some wild shit, stop. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Make a twit longer.
Stop trying to show your belly on stream and asking if your chat is weird, because it's definitely weird and you should stop that. You know who you are. Germa.
It is weird.
All right. Next, Toast. Shout
Here,
out
you want to
call,
go
please.
next to continue the convo?
No, it's fine.
All right. I'm gonna shout out all the hard workers that are not Japanese, that are creeping into the Japanese industry.
I'm
I
plus one on that. Yeah.
appreciate their hard work in the anime industry, and it shows.
Yeah. I
And
think
yes,
part of what will really reinvigorate the Japanese anime industry, because I don't think it's in a healthy state right now, despite all the money being pumped into it. I think it's in a very unhealthy state. But I do think part of what will reinvigorate it, other than strong regulations all over the industry, is having that diversity of thought, having these other people come and not just, subcontracted studios in Thailand or the Philippines or South Korea or China, but having all these other workers from other nations all come in and chip in, and I
we
think that's very
we
healthy.
all like anime. So there's
Yeah,
some cool westerns out there. So hit them up.
absolutely,
But
absolutely.
like,
Call,
make sure you hit the good ones, not the bad ones.
make sure you do the ones that aren't the ones who did, whatever, like cal art stuff.
Like,
Uh,
let's shout out KU, Nago, Namie-kun, all the good ones. So like,
okay.
yeah, hit them up.
Call out.
My call out is to what's that one show? I'm going to call out what are the things called in the? I'm gonna call out soup containers. Yeah, that I don't like soup containers.
Soup containers?
You know how some people double up on their styrofoam cups when they're drinking something? What's up with that?
I guess to
Because, I mean, if it's hot, a styrofoam cup isn't really going to protect your hands.
Why is it? What I've seen people do it when it's cold.
Well, if you leave a styrofoam cup long enough, depending
probably
on
better insulation.
what's in it, it is very possible for the bottom to just fucking fall out. Because shit like cardboard and styrofoam cups gets thinner and thinner every day. So, like double upping on the cup, pretty standard, I think.
I mean, I saw a dude today who was double because I want to get soup. I saw some dude who was doubling up in a soup container, and I was like, "Damn, how many trees are you killing for that double soup container?"
Yeah.
So that was a mild irritation in my normal life today, because it's like
Yeah.
it's hot soup. It's a paper cup. Can you not handle hot soup, or are you gonna like spill it in your car or something?
Mm.
Like it's not boiling hot soup. It's mildly hot soup. It's like get over it, my dude. It's not liquid nitrogen. That's my small rant for the day.
All right. Thank you, Toast. Shout out, call out. And I guess I'll go next here. Shout out to whoever clipped the various parts of podcasts and radios and live streams of Oishi Masayoshi
Oh,
saying stuff about the music industry.
I thought you were gonna say shout out to the person who clipped that Suisei clip because oh man,
I
can't.
clipped the suicide. Why would I be shouting out
Well, then
myself?
shout out to yourself
What?
because it's a funny clip. I can't believe you went on that long.
Yeah, I did. I did go off for again. I feel apologetic in a very
I
unironic
wanted
sense
to
to
I
you
brought it
guys.
up because I wanted to let you cook because it would be a good convo, but like I didn't expect you to
You
go
didn't
that
know. You
long.
didn't know I was gonna be slow cooking that thing. But,
Like I expected
but
the Ayane Takatatsu 17 minutes, but you went over that.
I was gonna say, yeah. So shout out to people who clipped Oishi Masayoshi stuff online, so I could watch it and listen to him talk about the music industry. Very, cool like insights and stuff like that here and there. My
Speaking of the
shout
music
out
industry, Squire, who's your favorite on the first take?
on the first take.
You can guess my favorite super easily.
It's really hard to beat like Huey Saki's rendition of Sayonara Elegy. First of all, I really like the song to begin with because I'm a sappy, stupid retard who likes sappy ballads. But on top of that, um, I think Masaki Suda was fine at singing it, but like Ishizaki Huey just Yoasobi. Yeah, Yoasobi. Actually, the series I covered in Buddy Daddies, the opening and ED were both by Yoasobi.
Who's
Maybe
Yoasobi? Never heard of them.
Yeah, who's
Aren't they the
who
ones
is it?
who did Michizure on which
Yeah.
is Hoshimachi Suisei, one of Hoshimachi Suisei's songs on her new album, Spectre?
Yeah.
I bet that's the
Yeah.
reason why they picked that song. Because
Their second most popular song, "Racing into the Night." First popular song, the Suicide song. But yeah. Anyways, I think it's Huey Saki singing Sayonara Elegy, which is like just really good. But
my
anyways,
favorite is Eimer doing
yeah. I mean
whatever.
that's
Zai,
doing whatever.
I don't remember what's the name of the song. I don't care. She probably did that Demon Slayer song that everyone likes. Homura, yeah, that one.
Oh yeah. But yeah. My
Spire, how
call out.
dare you? You fell for it. It's Lisa who has Homer Gurenge. What? It was either Homer or Gurenge.
Oh yeah, okay. Never mind. Sorry, I
Timer
like
was
got one.
Zankyo Sanka.
Yeah.
God, this guy doesn't know his music.
I'm bad. I like memorizing stuff in general, and I also got distracted. Sorry,
That's fair.
but my call out is to people where I'm like explaining my point to them, and then I have to
Don't do it.
repeat
Don't
those
do it. Don't do it.
points. No, I'm not gonna bring up examples. I just don't like that sort of thing in general. But yeah, don't repeat the same discussion points when I've already gone through them. That makes me not very happy. But that's it for my shout out call out. Last but not least, Nier. Shout out call out, please.
Shoutouts to I don't know.
Shout out to your dad, I guess.
Yeah, shoutouts to my dad. Happy birthday. Callouts to so yeah, as I mentioned before, So Netflix Japan recently put up a short. And I think it's like a project to do multiple shorts. I'm not really sure. But it's in collaboration with Wit Studio. And when they put the short up, they also tweeted. And they tweeted out that the short was done with AI. AI was doing the backgrounds or whatever, right? And in reality, if you watch the
I
whole
have
short,
posted it in the chat. Yeah.
yeah, if you watch the whole short at the end, they show in the credits. Well, first of all, the fucked up part in the credits is that they literally credit the background designer as AI plus human.
Plus,
They don't even name who touched up the backgrounds. They don't name who did the layouts for the backgrounds. That was fed to the AI. But also in the credits, like they literally show you like the step-by-step process.
Mhm.
And again, like it's a layout, right? They feed the layout to the AI. They run it through the AI multiple times. And then another person, I guess, just draws over what the AI did. So, but if you see, like, the AI produces fucking garbage. Like, it looks like shit. It looks awful. And when they tweeted this out, they claimed, the use of AI to do, like, the backgrounds is due to a labor shortage. And it's like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
no. The funny thing is, the labor. Well, it's not even. Yeah, you're right. Well, no, there are two cases. There are two layers to this, both of which are really bad. First, there's not really a labor shortage because Japan still has a bunch of artists who are always trying to get into the market because it's
there is
anime,
literally
right?
constantly a revolving door
Yeah,
of young
there's actually
artists.
more supply. There's more supply than there is proper like uh
Position.
payment,
Yeah.
positions and payment for it. And
Yeah.
secondly, the reason why that there's so much turnover and eventual brain drain from studios isn't because some weird problem that we don't know how to deal with. No, it's because you guys don't pay your artists enough. You
No.
guys do not pay your artists enough, and you guys think you can get away from it because of the initial point we made, because there are so many artists trying to stockpile on each other, trying to get into the industry, so that you guys say to the other artists, hey, if you don't want this position, we're going to pick this other motherfucker here. We're going to pick this other artist, and you just have to deal with it because we can choose from a pick. And then you turn around and give the guy you just picked shitty pay as well. So it's a never ending cycle.
Yep. But yeah. So obviously, they got a lot of flack for this, right? They got a huge amount of flack. Like, I'm pretty sure the tweet became viral. There's QRTs from artists all over the place, like literally globally, like all over the world. Basically just shitting all over this. Deservedly
everybody
so.
except for business like manager people should be angry. Everybody should be angry over this.
Because this is, I'd say, the first real example we have of AI literally stealing the credit of an artist's work. Like, again, the background designer for this short is credited as AI plus human. The person who touched up this AI's quote unquote work, it's not even fucking work, because again, the background layout was already done. And then it was just fed to an AI and then drawn over anyway. So like, you know, I don't even know what the point of the AI really is. But anyway, like,
Nier, how are you so sure that
the
this is
person
a
that did the
person?
layout like isn't credited. The person that touched up the AI's work isn't credited. um, like it is literally being touted as like the AI did this. So this is the first real example you have of an AI stealing credit. And right now, people can say, oh, well, it's not like it's stealing jobs or anything, it's not like it's stealing someone's job, right? Um,
Mhm.
yet, right? Like the fact that AI has advanced this far, this fast, right? Should really be concerning to some people, I think. Um,
Yeah.
and personally, I'm not a big I'm not a huge doomer. I really don't think AI is going to replace artists. Um, but I do think the creative process can definitely be tainted by AI, depending on how it develops, right?
I feel like the problem is more so because it's like, it's nothing to do with the AI. It's a fucking tool. But the problem is
Yeah.
that
The
you
problem
you
is
have like
how
I mean, without
production staff
AI, yeah,
looks at it, right?
we see more than enough examples without even looking at AI of like churn and how fucking like execs and shit or managers like look at workers and try to fucking burn them like and churn them. And we see that more than enough without AI, and it's like with the efficiency that AI can bring to even a good artist, like then they're going to look at like, oh, how many people can we cut and just keep one person on to do the work of however many people and not offer them any more compensation.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, again, I do think the rapid, like very rapid, development of AI should be a little bit worrying to some people. Not necessarily just artists, but just, people in general. Um, Again, we were talking about like the voice stuff, that recently came out the last week or so, has been making huge waves. Um, I really think, I really think the voice one is probably going to get cracked down, like legal wise, because
They already tried to crack down
that's
on it, but it's like
yeah, but the voice stuff is dangerous. I think like that stuff is
Yeah, the
definitely
voice stuff
getting
is
into
no-brainer.
territory where like you
It
can
can cause a lot of havoc.
literally make anybody say anything. If you have 10 minutes of audio recording of anybody, you can make them say fucking anything. Like that's
And
how good
even
this thing is. Like
And even
it's
deep faking these days, I think it doesn't even need to like necessarily advance more because if you think about it, the types of like incriminating evidence, quote unquote, like stuff like sex tapes or whatever, right, are usually never like super high definition, right? It's
oh,
always fuzzy in a dark room, somebody's giving a blowjob to another person or whatever it is, right? Or um so it doesn't need to be high quality deepfake. Oh, this looks exactly like the person. As long as it looks similar or they're making the same, similar tone or whatever, then it can just be used in so many different malicious intents.
yeah.
So,
So I think the voice stuff's probably gonna get cracked down legally. Um, Deepfake stuff. I mean, I think the deepfake stuff has been around long enough. And I think the deepfake stuff is like it's harder to do. You know what I mean? You need a lot of shots of someone's face. You need like the thing you're putting a deepfake onto needs to sort of be unobstructed, um,
yeah.
clear for a certain amount of time. It can't really make any rapid movements. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so unless deepfake tech like makes a really big leap soon, I think there's not really much you can do um, in terms of legalese. But like the voice stuff, I think is probably scaring a lot of people right now. Um,
Mhm.
so, but yeah, for like the creative side of it, like the art side, I don't think there's I don't think there's too much to worry about right now. Because again, it is largely a tool. like I said, in this instance, like this is the first. I think this is probably the most notorious instance we've had of AI being used in an actual like creative project. And obviously the way it's being used is not being received very well, but I think again that is largely due to the fact that the artist, the real actual human artist that is involved in the process of using this AI to create the backgrounds isn't being credited at all,
Right.
which should not be allowed. I think like best case scenario for AI like art stuff is it sort of going the route of something like, I don't know, photo bashing. You know what I mean? Where
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys remember, but like photo bashing back when that like first sort of became a thing, people literally called that shit plagiarism. Like people were like, this should be allowed, right? Um,
Mhm.
but nowadays, like fucking every concept artist known to man uses photo bashing, because it fucking looks cool, right? So,
Right.
um, yeah, I think that's probably best case scenario as it goes down that route. But it's definitely uh, uncertain times we're living in with the way technology is advancing. And it's a bit worrisome.
I
Um,
think I think one last thing too to point out is that like not crediting the artist who actually worked on that is not a mistake. That was
Yeah,
not an
I
error.
mean, it's definitely on
That
purpose.
was
Like,
Yeah.
intentional, which shows you exactly why this should be concerning, and it shows you exactly what like executives think of this because they're looking at this the same way these fucking idiots looked at NFTs. They're treating it the
Yeah.
exact same way. They're like, "Oh, it's new technology. I know exactly how this works. It's an AI, which means that you're replaceable, which means we could use anyone, which means you're not even really worthy of credit." It's like, no, that's not how this system fucking works.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Nier, for your shout out call out. I just want to save you for last, just because I knew we would go into that conversation. But
That
yeah,
why you
that's
made him do
our.
Near Automata?
yeah.
Yes, that's also that he wanted to take it, but also because Nier. But anyways, that was it for our shout out call last segment, and with that, we are done with our podcast. Again, we'll have 2 more episodes after this, and then we'll go straight into the preview show for spring. So watch out for that. If you do like what we do, we stream our podcast every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with the numeral 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation, media, and related stuff, including anime, manga, light novels, web novels, visual novels, and so much more. So you can check us out here, our recordings of our live podcast on in Twitch VOD section, as well as on YouTube. We'll have various highlights and clips and VODs split up, so on our YouTube channel. So check us out there as well. So check us out here. Check us out. Oh yeah, and our social media. Excuse me, our social media gets updated on Facebook, 4PlayerAnimecast, and as well on Twitter, handle at 4PPAnimecast. Again, all with the numeral 4. So check us out here. Check us out there. And as always, we'll see you next time.